Welcome in, folks, and thanks for tuning in live for RedHawks pregame on RedHawk Radio. We are back here at Steve Coach Cady Arena for the second game in as many nights between the Miami RedHawks and Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. Last night was a crazy game that went to a shootout and resulted in the victory of the Bulldogs. Let's talk about that. Well, it was a great start for the Miami RedHawks with a P.J. Fletcher goal just 8 seconds in. Also, the captain, Jack Clement, picked up the assist on that goal, fluttering a puck towards the net that Fletcher put home. Not shortly after, John Waldron picked up his 5th of the year with a beautiful goal flying through the neutral zone after receiving a pass from Dylan Moulton, batting it out of the air, going past the defenseman, and tucking it home. Raymond Vitalins also had a great game last night with a +2 rating and a apple as well to go up to 9 points on the year. Logan Neaton looked pretty good in net, stopping 27 of 30 UMD shots in regulation and overtime. He specifically did very well tracking pucks that were sent from the point, with many UMD players in front of the net providing screens. Speaking of UMD, on the Duluth side, Ben Steeves. What a game from him last night. We said on the pregame show last night that he was a player Miami was going to have to look after, and he proved that in the second period, starting the UMD scoring off with a tip-in from a shot from the point. Not shortly after, Steeves picked up his second of the game to move in with 10 goals on the year for the Bulldogs. That leads the team. It was a power play goal by Ben Steeves, a one-time goal that found its way to the back of the net. As the game went on, UMD took a 3-2 lead with a Cole Spicer goal, which puts them at 5 on the year. It was a beautiful goal skating through the middle, kind of a curl and drag that found the post and the back of the net. Then Miami answered quickly just a minute and a half after with P.J. Fletcher's second of the game. Fletcher's up to 7 goals on the year. He was one of the players of the game last game. Let's see if he can keep it going tonight. Now as the game moved to overtime, things were pretty even on both sides. Miami did a very good job limiting Ben Steeves with that much time and space out there. And then the game moved into the shootout, and that is where UMD's skill really took over. Quinn Olson started the scoring in the shootout with a nice shot under the right blocker pad of Logan Neaton. And Ben Steeves, of course, he did it all game. Why not in the shootout again? Skating in with a one-handed goal, top shelf on Neaton. I bet that goal will find its way on SportsCenter Top 10. As we look on the ice here, both teams take warm-ups. Like I said last night, Ben Steeves really controlled the game from the second period and on. On the Miami side of things, not great on special teams, especially on the power play. As I talked about yesterday, that was one thing they were going to have to clean up a ton. A little help tonight with Spencer Cox back in the lineup. He'll quarterback the umbrella. Last night, Miami also let up coming out of the breaks. After the first period, which they came out firing, into the second, they let UMD get back in the game really quickly. Now, UMD went 1 for 2 on the power play last night. Miami, again, will be having a look at Steeves and limit him as he scored on the power play. 0 for 2 for Miami on the power play. In the faceoff circle, Miami looked very well, winning 38 faceoffs to UMD's 23. As we look at the trends of the game yesterday, like I said, Miami controlled the first period pretty much from start to finish, starting out with 2 goals in the first 2 minutes. Duluth came out exactly opposite in the second period, controlling the entire second period with their star players. And then the rest of the way, the third period and overtime was pretty even on both sides, as they both had 30 shots in the game last night. Let's see if we see the same storylines here tonight for both teams. We'll be back. I'm Luke Lewis on RedHawk pregame on RedHawk Radio. Well, players just exited the ice after warm-ups, and the Zams start going around as we got about 21 minutes until the start of this one. Let's look ahead for Miami and see what lies ahead during the holidays. After tonight, Miami has a nice break to go home with their families and enjoy Christmas. Then they're going to head to Niagara for 2 games, December 29th and 30th. Hopefully they can capitalize on that one, as you have a struggling Niagara team losing 3 out of their last 4, similar to Miami. After that, it's back to conference play against Western Michigan, back here at Steve Cady Arena. And boy, oh boy, those are going to be some tough games. Western Michigan on a 7-game heater, winning last night 7-3 against a tough Denver team. That Broncos team is led by Luke Granger and Dylan Went. They both lead the team with 25 and 24 points a piece. Let's look at games from around the country. As I said last night, Western Michigan with a 7-3 win over Denver. And a big shocker up in North Dakota as the #1 team in the country goes down to a good Colorado College team, 3-2 in overtime. Noah Laba scored the overtime goal in that one. And man, we saw a lot of Laba just a few short weeks ago here at Miami, scoring 2 goals in back-to-back games against the RedHawks. The big forward is going to be a force to be reckoned with when he eventually makes the NHL, which I don't doubt he won't. Now, as we look at other scores in college hockey, St. Cloud State with a 4-1 victory over Omaha. Minnesota topped Ohio State 5-4 in Columbus. Michigan State and our old friend Red Savage won 5-2 against a Landon Slaggert-led Notre Dame Fighting Irish. In Wisconsin, the Badgers are having a good season, winning last night 6-3 against Penn State. Now as we look today, similar matchups across the board with mostly 2-game sets. In the first period, in Western Michigan is winding down as Denver holds a 3-2 lead, trying to win back their dignity after the last night whacking by Western Michigan. Obviously here in Oxford, we got about 20 minutes till game time. Colorado College looks to go for the sweep against North Dakota in their series. Up north, St. Cloud State and Omaha, similar stories. Michigan State holds a 1-0 lead over Notre Dame, after one period. Number 5 Wisconsin against number 18 Penn State for their second of 2 in Madison. We also have Ohio State trying to crack into the top 25 against the Gophers. We saw Oliver Moore, Blackhawks draft pick, have a beautiful goal the other night, sending it under the bar. Quinnipiac, the number 2 team in the country, already won tonight, 4-2 against Long Island. They moved to 12-4-1. And New Hampshire with a shutout 1-0 victory. When we come back, we're going to talk about Miami news in other sports, mostly football, as Miami looks to capitalize on their bowl chance this year down in Orlando. I'm Luke Lewis on Red Hawk Pregame. I'll be right back. We're back here at Steve Cady Arena as the Zambonis exit the ice. And the ice hardens as we have our junior RedHawk skating with our Miami player down the ice to put one home. In more recent Miami news, women's basketball lost a hard-fought game to the Dayton Flyers today, 73-60. They moved to 1-6 on the year. Their next game is a week from today as they travel. Oh, excuse me as I get interrupted as the junior RedHawk player of the game tucked one home as the horn blares here, and the few fans that have trickled in so far look on to this youngster skating off right now. Back on track to the women's basketball game. Next Saturday, they travel to Ann Arbor and take on the Michigan Wolverines. They got a great athletic program over there in Ann Arbor. Obviously, their football team has a crucial game coming up, facing the Alabama Crimson Tide in the college football semifinal. I know folks over there in Ann Arbor were thrilled over Thanksgiving break when their team won the game for the third straight year in a row. Obviously, controversy in the college football playoff with Florida State not making it with a 13-0 record. I know the committee took a lot of scrutiny for that one, but it should be a fun college football playoff between the four schools, Alabama, Michigan, Washington, and Texas. We'll be excited to watch that one. And on the Miami side of things, a unbelievable season out of the RedHawks, probably the best since the Ben Roethlisberger era, winning the MAC championship just a week ago against Toledo at Ford Field in Detroit. A lot of great things to take out of this Miami season, regardless on if they win the bowl game or not. And maybe none brighter than Miami's kicker Graham Nicholson, the winner of the Lou Groza Award for the nation's top place kicker, beating out some top kickers out of the SEC like Alabama. Now in the bowl game, let's talk about that. The RedHawks travel down to Orlando, Florida, a week from today to play in the Cure Bowl against Appalachian State. Appalachian State having a great year of their own. We'll see if Avion Smith plays, as he just threw his hat in the transfer portal. Obviously, Graham Nicholson threw his hat in the transfer portal shortly before winning the Lou Groza Award. He then pulled it out. Back to hockey. Some keys for tonight. Obviously, the RedHawks must limit Ben Steeves. He put on quite a performance last night, scoring 2 goals in the shootout winner. Beautiful one-handed goal over Logan Neaton's pad. Now, special teams was a big focus going into last night's game. Tonight, more of the same. However, on the back end, the RedHawks get back 6-foot-tall junior Spencer Cox. That left-handed shot will prove wonders for the RedHawks power play, quarterbacking it at the top of the umbrella. Everything's going to be able to run through him tonight. Obviously, he's going to look to get Waldron and Fletcher involved on the wings. We'd like to see some one-time shots out of Waldron. We'd like to see some net front presence on the power play. Hopefully tip some pucks, provide some screens, jam home rebounds on Stayskool tonight. We also would like to see the RedHawks work the puck and interchange on the power play a little bit more, which will make Stayskool move left to right a bit more. With that 6'5" frame, they must get him moving. Now the RedHawks also got to stay out of the box tonight, as we saw the lethal Minnesota Duluth power play last night with that Ben Steeves one-timer. They also must box out the big net front presence, as Logan Eaton had to deal with a lot of screens and tough shots last night. I believe a couple banged off the post, which if those went in, it would have been a big UMD lead. Now, they also need to keep the energy they had at the beginning of the game last night, obviously with the 2 goals to start it. We'd like to see the RedHawks come out tonight with that same energy and intensity, but we'd like them to keep that energy throughout the entire game and not let UMD back in the game if they secure a lead. Now let's look at the lines tonight for both teams. We got Barbolini, Vitalins, and Fletcher, Dukovac, Helene, and Waldron, Taransky, Daskus, and Sullivan, and Morrison and Messenberg as the last two forwards. We saw Waldron play with those two and Helene and Dukovac. On D, we got Moulton, Clement, Feenstra, and Kumlin. And then obviously Spencer Cox and Robbie Drasner with Logan Neaton in net. And looking at the Bulldogs, obviously Quinn Olson, Cole Spicer, and Blake Biondi are we going to have to look after those. And Ben Steeves with Zach Stayskull in net. Head coaches for both teams, Scott Sandlin for the Bulldogs and Chris Bergeron for the RedHawks. I'm going to now send it over to my counterparts, Jeff Middleton and Luke West-Poley. They're going to have the call for the game today. I'll see you back here on Intermission Live. Have a good one, folks.
Night 2 here from Cady Arena as Miami looks to go for the series split after a 3-3 tie yesterday and a shootout loss. For the second straight night, it's the RedHawks and the Bulldogs of Minnesota Duluth here from Cady Arena in the final NCHC series of the year for Miami. Luke West-Poley, Jeff Middleton alongside here tonight. Jeff, great start for the RedHawks. The game wore on. Miami blew that 2-0 lead, able to get the third goal late to equalize and go to overtime. The RedHawks feel they had a lot of opportunities late in that game to get the winner. They were unable to do so. They fall in the shootout. It's a team that's certainly making strides, it feels like, in the right direction, but you really, really feel that you need a win in this second game in a series that we talked about yesterday is one of the more winnable they're going to have in conference play this season.
Yeah, and I think we saw yesterday, it was pretty even through most of the periods. If Miami wasn't doing it, it was Minnesota. And then in the third period, it felt like both teams kind of settled in. P.J. Fletcher had 2 goals. Ben Steeves for the Bulldogs had 2 goals. Both teams had 30 shots yesterday. And, of course, you said it yesterday, Luke. It felt like the only option was getting to overtime and eventually the shootout where, Miami unfortunately lost. But, yeah, I think that these two teams, they're both at the bottom of the conference. And this is a very winnable game, as we talked about yesterday as well for Miami. Just a matter of taking that next step and converting the opportunities that they get.
Duluth 4-3 shootout winners yesterday. This game goes down as a tie in the NCAA standings, and for NCHC purposes, Duluth picked up the extra point. Miami did get their first point of the season in conference play last night after an 0-6 start. The RedHawks now 0-6-1 in NCHC play. Duluth 1-5-1 and have now picked up at least 2 points in each of the last 2 conference series as they look to build up better into the back half of the season. Pass it over to public address and Scott Shriver for the Miami lineup and the national anthem. Puck drop coming up between Miami and Minnesota Duluth next here on Red Hawk Radio. Miami and Minnesota Duluth here on this Saturday night. Luke West, Poley, Jeff Middleton, Luke Lewis with you high above the ice here from Cady Arena. Tonight, Minnesota Duluth going with the same uniforms as yesterday. It's the maroon uniforms, gold bulldog on the front with white names and numbers on the back, and the white and gold accents, maroon gloves, pants, socks, and helmets for Scott Sandlin's group. They move left to right in the opening period of play. For Miami, they go with the alternate home uniforms, the white jerseys, script Miami in red across the front with the gray pinstripes reading love and honor. Down the jerseys, white socks with red stripes, white helmets, red gloves, and red pants for Miami, who moves right to left. Our officials tonight, Brian Hankes and Justin Hills. The referees, Eric Frank and Logan Belgraf, are running the lines. Starting goaltenders are the same as yesterday. Logan Neaton made 27 saves in the Miami net last night. He gets the start once again for the RedHawks. This is his 15th start of the season. 5-7-2 record for the graduate student out of Brighton, Michigan. 3.09 goals against average and an .897 save percentage this year. For Duluth, they go with Zach Stayskoll once again, the senior from Cohasset, Minnesota. Big frame, 6'5", 217. 9 games played this season, 3-3-3 record, 2.74 goals against average, and a .905 save percentage. Barbolini, Vitalins, and Fletcher, along with Moulton and Clement, out for the RedHawks. It's Olsen, Spicer, and Biondi for Duluth, out with Owen Gallatin and Aiden Dubinsky for the Bulldogs. Got a half-full Cady Arena here in Oxford. Puck is dropped and off we go as Miami wins the opening faceoff back into their own end. Jack Clement races it down and hands off for Dylan Moulton in the far corner of the Miami zone. It's quickly threaded ahead, looking for Matthew Barbolini, but it's cut off. Biondi takes it down the right wing and enters the RedHawks zone. Puck deflects out in front. Spicer plays it down low, and Neaton kicked that one away with the left leg. Puck deflects all the way back out to center, where it's picked up by Dubinsky for Duluth. Gallatin, hard pass for Olsen. He'll back skate it into his own zone and now feed Dubinsky, who will cross the center red and fire it in. Vitalins lays a hit on him. Puck flies up in the air, ends up out in front. Spicer gloved it down but couldn't get a shot away. It careens now to the far corner where it's pulled out by Raymond Vitalins for the RedHawks. There's a guy that yesterday Coach Chris Bergeron highlighted in the postgame presser, had a very strong game, the Vermont transfer. Puck out in front, Barbolini cleared it, looking to pass to Fletcher, got him underneath the skate, and Fletcher toppled over on the near side. Goetz got hit hard by Barbolini. That draws a crowd reaction. Now a steal, though, by Spicer out in front, or rather that's Steves, and he couldn't get the shot away as his stick was lifted. Perkins will backhand it up to the left point. Goetz through traffic, and Steves got a tip on it, but it goes wide to the right. RedHawks back pinned in their own end. A slap shot comes from the right point by Goetz. And Neaton makes the glove save on a puck tracking wide. He hangs on with 18:44 to go in the opening period. Shots 2-0 in favor of Duluth and no score.
And not as many fireworks as there were yesterday in yesterday's game, especially for Miami. It's been Duluth so far through this first period. So let's see if Miami can get things going here with their second line of Helene, Dukovac, and Waldron.
That goal 18 seconds in yesterday by P.J. Fletcher was the fastest goal to start a game for a RedHawks since 2013 when Devin Lowe did it 11 seconds into the game. Miami wins the faceoff, but they fail to clear. Puck along the half wall. Dukovac hands back for Feenstra. Bouncing puck secured by Kumlin behind his own net, and he banks it up for Waldron, who breaks it out. Tries a cross-ice pass for Dukovac, and it missed him. Dukovac will just grab the loose puck, though, and throw it into the Duluth end. Aaron Pionk, Minnesota Wild draft choice, skates it up the left side. Short pass for Steves. He tried to get it through the middle, but there were two RedHawks there, and they picked that pass off. And a pass by Kumlin intended for Helene. He was getting off the ice. It missed everybody and goes down for an icing. That was a 5-foot pass that went down for icing as Kumlin got off, or Helene rather got off, and couldn't meet up with his countryman Axel Kumlin. Face-off coming in the defensive zone for Miami on the left wing side for the RedHawks. 18:09 to go in the opening period and no score.
Yeah, just a little bit of miscommunication there. Let's hope that doesn't cost the RedHawks because these icings are very valuable against the Minnesota Duluth team that can really score.
Third line out for the Bulldogs, and Loney wins the faceoff straight back. It's pushed to Pierce at the right point, skates it in, wrists one through traffic. It hit off the stick of Feenstra and rolled in on goal, and Neaton made the save. In the near corner, Kumlin has it for Miami. Low height, the Duluth captain applies pressure on him, and it's ripped up the far side and hits off of Bruno Berveris on the Miami bench. And so the faceoff will stay in the RedHawks zone here with 17:55 to go in the first period. Miami can change. They get the tired bodies off, and now Miami will bring on this third line. It's Daskis, Taransky, and Sullivan. These guys were really, really good yesterday for the RedHawks. And the faceoff is won by Daskis straight back. Puck is rimmed around the far side and just barely escapes the zone. Duluth will push it back in. That gives the RedHawks time to set something up. Ryquist will fake the pass now, give to Taransky. He heads up the left side, enters the Duluth zone, drags and shoots. It's well high, and it rolls off the dasher out to neutral ice where Ryquist grabs it and turns it over. McMenamin over for Lowhite. He hits the brakes on the right hash and now spins it in behind the Miami net. Ryquist picks it up and has room to skate up the left side. Ryquist surveying, slowing up, and he will throw it through for Sullivan, who tips it into the Duluth end. Pierce getting back to it. He lays a hit on Sullivan, and Pierce lost his stick, but Duluth had support there to get it back out to center. Smith did well to take it from Daskis, dangles through, but he stepped in a little too late. It's an offside, as his lineman Anthony Mangini was a step into the zone when that puck entered. 17-11 to go first period, neutralized draw in a scoreless game.
Yeah, and this looks a lot more like the second period from yesterday's game, just in terms of the kind of passes that are being thrown, just a little bit of miscommunication. It's either bumping off the stick or off the skate, just not a ton of synergy here so far. So let's see if the RedHawks can try and figure that out as they try and stretch the play horizontally through the neutral zone.
Vitalyns wins the draw for the RedHawks. Robbie Drasner pushes it out to the center red M, where it's picked up by Dubinsky for UMD. He'll fire it in. Spicer picks it up on the half wall, throws it in front. Olsen behind the back, pass in front. A shot came through from Biondi. It's tipped into the protective netting. Stoppage with 16:58 to go in the first period, and a defensive zone draw for the RedHawks. And Jeff, you can see how quickly Duluth can get the puck low to high.
Yeah, and it's a little bit ominous. They've done that a couple times here, and we're only 3 minutes into this game, so Miami's got to really be conscious of that slot area because the Duluth players are getting in there.
Face-off win by Spicer. Biondi turns around and shoots high and wide. Puck came off the glass, nearly back out in front, but Vitalyns was there to grab it for Miami. He gets it up for Barbolini, who tried to poke it further and got hit hard. Barbolini, though, will now pick the puck up and lift it back to his defense. Clement had a pass get deflected, still finds Barbolini on the near half wall, and he feeds Vitalyns. Vitalyns down the right side, shoots, save made by Stayskull in the breadbasket, and he holds with 16:35 to go in the first. First shot for Miami.
Yeah, those are the kind of plays that you need, and I think that that kind of shot is what they're looking for. They have Barbolini along the wall, and they create a turnover, and he just feeds it across, and somebody's supporting up the side. This time it was Vitalyns, but it's a really great play, and I think that's exactly what head coach Chris Bergeron's looking for.
Sophomore line out for Miami: Dukovac, Waldron, and Helene, along with Feenstra and Kumlin for the RedHawks. This is against the second line: Steves, Perkins, Bettens for the Bulldogs. Face-off on the right wing side of the Miami offensive zone. Waldron wins the face-off to the board side, and Kumlin will tug that puck in deep in the zone. It's picked up by Darian Goetz for Duluth, and he'll throw it down. It got tipped, so no icing. It comes down on Logan Neaton's net, and he'll paddle it aside for Kumlin. He got rocked, but he still finds Dukovac on the near side, who circles and now heads up the center of the ice. Dukovac gets whacked a couple times, enters the zone, and now chips it in. Pionk gets to it behind the Duluth net. Helene applying forecheck. Pionk spins it up the near wall. It's picked up by Bettens, and he goes through the middle for Steves. He takes and now gives to Perkins on the far side. Tried to dance his way towards the middle, but Kumlin poked it away. Puck along the Miami half wall. Feenstra tried to throw it out. It was held in at the line by Pionk, but two attempts at it both got blocked by Waldron, and the puck squirts out to neutral ice. Bettens will try to slap this one back in, and it just barely gets in the zone off a deflection, picked up by Dukovac for the RedHawks, and he goes up ahead for Waldron, skating with 5 maroon jerseys around him. He kills some time while his teammates go for a change, and now Duluth will take away, and Waldron will head off. Pierce has it for the Bulldogs. Across for Luke Bass. North Dakota transfer goes up ahead for McMenamin, the transfer from Penn State. Into the Miami zone, it's pushed into the corner. Nice defensive play by Zane Dempsey, who checked Carter Loney off that puck. It rolls to the near side, though, and a pass towards the middle for Bast, who was wide open. It bounced over his stick, though, and Duluth can't hold the zone. Bast will now carry it back in, but his stick is lifted, and the RedHawks take it away. Ryquist banks up the near wall. Morrison holding, Pierce on his back. Hands for Ryquist, who gets it across the center red and dumps in. Bast back to it in the far corner. He's hit by Fletcher, but goes D-to-D for Pierce on the near side. 14:53 to go first period, and no score. Lowhite up the right seam, crosses the red and now the blue into the Miami zone, leaves it for Pierce in the right circle. Messenberg on him, and Pierce can't throw a pass in front, which was his intention. He's now pasted up against the near wall, in the corner. It's a 3-on-2 battle with Duluth having the numbers advantage, and Mangini pulls it out the far side on Spencer Cox, who's back into the lineup for Miami. Spencer Cox grabs it, tries to flutter it out towards center ice, but he didn't get all of it. Pierce grabs it just outside the blue and tried to fire it back in, but he was unsuccessful, and the RedHawks push it back out to Duluth territory. Dubinsky will circle behind his own net and now leave for Smith. 14-13 to go first period, and no score. A pass up the near side, missed Clevin, but he got a stick on it. It falls just short of icing. Mangini got it stripped away by Daskus on the near half wall, and the RedHawks clear their zone just out past the center red. Clevin reverses ice to the far side for Gallatin. Back to Clevin. Tried to get through the middle, but he lost the puck in the process. Daskus gets bumped as he pushes it to the near wall, and again, Duluth has possession. Pass up ahead is tipped into the Miami end by Clevin, and Neaton out of his net to pass it to Feenstra. It's taken away by Spicer. He drags and shoots, but it goes wide. Feenstra laid a stick check right as that shot came through. Now a shot from the left point in from Pionk, and a shoulder save by Neaton. Puck in the far corner of the Miami defensive zone, and Clement tried to pass for Daskus, but he missed him too far forward, and Duluth will take it and regroup. Olsen circling back to his own end with 13-19 to go in the first. No score. Duluth out shooting Miami 5-1. Cross ice pass. Olsen enters the Miami zone, drives the net with the backhand, throws it in front. Only Vitalin's there. Kicks it right back to Olsen on the far side of the net. Now he skates it up to the left point. Olsen will flutter this one in behind the RedHawk net. Spicer is there to grab it for the Bulldogs. Banks it up right point for Pierce. Now cross ice for Pionk. He throws through traffic, saved by Neaton with the stick, and he gets a glove on it to hold on. With 12:57 to go in the first. It's been all Duluth, but the RedHawks have held them off the scoreboard so far. We are scoreless with 12:57 to go in the opening period of play. We're back to Cady Arena after this. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Hockey on RedHawk Radio. .57 to go in the opening period. Luke West-Poley and Jeff Middleton with you from Cady Arena. No score between UMD and Miami in Game 2 of our series. Bulldogs victors in the shootout yesterday. And off to a good start here on the road, out shooting Miami 6-1. They've brought the energy into night 2 after they fell flat on their face yesterday, giving up 2 goals in the first minute and 5 seconds of the game before eventually rallying. Face-off win by the Bulldogs in the offensive zone. Steves over for a slap shot one-timer by Bettens. That goes well wide. RedHawks try to clear it out, but Steves holds it in. There's a shattered stick. It belongs to Max Dukovac. He gets off the ice as the Bulldogs clear it back in. Helene dragged it around one and couldn't get it out of the zone initially, but the second effort is successful for Miami. Puck rolls all the way back into the Bulldog end where Pierce leaves it for Bast. Nice forecheck by Helene. He leaves it in front for Waldron, but couldn't kick it to his stick in time, and the puck deflects to the far side of the ice. As 12:20 remains in the first period, Bass to it in the near corner. He gets hit hard by Morrison. Puck over to the far side, and Steves pinned it up against the wall, and Waldron nearly took it away, but now Steves will turn it around and float it out back to center ice. RedHawks regrouping defensively. D Ryquist trying to go cross ice for Morrison. He missed him. This is going all the way down, and it will be icing with an even 12 minutes to go in the first period. Shot 6-1 in favor of Duluth and no score.
Yeah, just kind of unfortunate for Waldron in front of the net there. Looked like he could have had a solid chance, but just wasn't able to get the puck to his stick from his skate. And another icing for the RedHawks. Blake Messenberg out to take this faceoff, I would imagine. Yeah, their best faceoff man on the team. He's been so good this year. Loses that one, though.
Gallatin fires it in from the left point, and a save made by Neaton with no traffic. 2 seconds elapsed between the two whistles. Face-off will come from the same side of the ice. That bottom five for Miami was really good. They don't really have a clear identity because they're not two full lines. It's 5 forwards that the RedHawks are dealing with, starting 11.
Lots of rotation.
But yeah, all 5 of those guys, regardless of who they've been playing with, have been very good in their roles for Miami. Face-off win this time by Messenberg. Clement grabs it from the bottom of the circle and skates it around the net to the far side. Up the half wall, it's played through the middle for Messenberg, leaves for Moulton. He shoots that one, it's deflected wide. Gallatin behind the net for UMD, pulls it away from the pile and skates it to the far side. Into the middle, nearly a huge hit on Dubinsky, but he evades it and finds his teammate in Jack Smith, who dumps it into the Miami end. Puck cleared up to the right point, and the RedHawks able to just get it out of the zone. Messenberg now skates it into the Duluth end as the RedHawks go for changes. Gallatin getting back to it, and there's no pressure from Miami with all 5 guys near the bench. Dump comes up the ice, and Mangini touched it, I'll say short of the red line for icing. Mangini's intention there was to tip that into the zone and negate the icing, and he was very close. But they'll say he was just an inch or 2 short of that red line, and this will be icing on the Bulldogs, which they were trying to get a change. So now you got tired bodies out on the ice and a face-off on the right wing side of the offensive zone for the RedHawks with 11:16 to go in the first.
We talked about this third line as well with Taransky, Daskus, and Sullivan. They were fantastic yesterday, and Coach Bergeron talked about how good Artur Taransky has been recently, even though it hasn't really showed up on the score sheet. So see if they can do anything with this offensive zone draw here.
Face-off is won by the Bulldogs, and Gallatin outlets it to center. RedHawks quickly get it back in, though. Daskus driving with the puck on his backhand. Dubinsky forces him out wide, and now Daskus will wrap it in behind the Duluth net. Sullivan hustling to it, tries to go up to the point for Cox. He holds the zone with the backhand, but there's 3 Bulldogs in the area, and they get it out to center. Mangini, or rather McMenamin, driving down the left side, and he fires one in from the blue line. Save made with the upper body of Neaton, and he holds. 10:53 to go in the first period. Shots are 8-1 in favor of Duluth. They've been pretty dominant. I don't know if they've been 8-1 dominant necessarily, but shots are certainly in favor of the Bulldogs. Miami has not had a shot on net in about 6 minutes.
I also think part of it's been that these shots, you know, a couple of them have been pretty solid high danger chances, but most of them haven't really been.
Face-off win. Goetz plays it down low. Biondi played it through Drasner's legs, but he couldn't swat that one on net. Neaton comes out to cover, and he holds with 10:45 to go.
Yeah, and see, you know, he didn't get all that shot, but it still counts as a shot on goal, so it'll add to their total. But I think down here, especially, you know, we were talking about that third line just a second ago, I think that, you know, they didn't get a shot on net, and that's really unfortunate because Stay School's been kind of, or at least yesterday, he was kind of shaky early in the game, and obviously 2 goals helped that, or 2 goals against helped that. But I think, you know, they need to get shots on net, but they had some good passing plays as well, which I think is really important early in this game.
RedHawks have it behind their own net. It is played up ahead by Drasner for Fletcher, and he'll bank it out to center, where it's picked back up by the Bulldogs. Biondi up the near side at his pocket, picked by Vitalis. Saucer pass to the near side. Barbolini will turn around and blast it in. Stayskill out behind his net, lays it off for Pionk, and now he'll leave for Goetz, who's got some room to skate up the left side. Lead pass finds Olsen across the red. Cross-ice pass for Spicer, looking to go back in front for Olsen. Had his stick lifted and he lost it. Puck is juggled up in the air there, and it will go over the glass. And so we will get a neutral ice draw here with 10:04 to go in the first period. We are scoreless between Miami and Minnesota Duluth.
We saw it yesterday in the second period, just kind of clogging up that neutral zone. That's been, you know, Duluth's been really good at that so far, about halfway through this game. Just I mean, Miami really hasn't had any way to stretch the neutral zone, and that's kind of thwarted any attempts at offense that they've had.
Past the halfway mark of the first, RedHawks have won the draw, and it's a D-to-D pass to Clement. He goes up ahead for Waldron, but he delayed at the blue line on the dump in, and so the RedHawks are offside, and they will have to clear the zone. That allows Pierce to skate it up and feed for Bettens on the right side. Tried to go down the middle for Perkins, but he just missed the pass, and it goes all the way around to the far side where it's wrapped to the near wing by Ben Steeves. Back where it came from, Steves in the far corner, touches off for Perkins. Back to Steves, a laser in, and it's caught by Neaton, and he holds on.
Ben Steves is such a threat from literally anywhere on the ice. That was not a shot that's super high danger, not a good probability of going in, but man, he rocketed that one off the far corner wall. Good on Logan Neaton for paying attention there. We saw Johnny Waldron score one of those goals, or Max Dukovac, apologies, score one of those kind of goals against Cady and Barrico of Colorado College earlier this season. Just kind of threw one towards the net and just kind of happened to go in. But
it was on that same side of the ice, too. It was right in that corner on the far side. Face-off won by the RedHawks, and they will clear the zone off the glass. Sullivan knocks it out of the air, no high stick. Taransky gets to it in the corner, tried to play it out in front, but he whiffed on the pass, and it's picked up for the Bulldogs. And McMenamin could not clear. He got hit hard. Now Taransky tries to turn it around and fire it in, but Lowhite had the wall sealed. He'll push ahead for McMenamin, who skates it in and cross-corner dumps to the near corner. Feenstra leaves it off for Taransky. He'll take out the lob wedge and lift it out to center. It's gloved down. Taransky, or rather Daskus, nearly split the defense there and grabbed that for a breakaway, but instead it's knocked to the near wall, and now Taransky will throw it in behind the Duluth net. Gallatin directs it further. McMenamin can't clear it around Kuhnlin, but his second effort gets it to Lowhite right on the center M. He's buying time, and now he throws it in. Mangini, meanwhile, first on the puck, but a nice poke play there by Feenstra to get to that first. He got hit hard, though, had to sacrifice the body, and the puck is in the RedHawks' control as a result. Miami clears it up the near side. It's gloved down at the line by Dubinsky, and he brought it back in. Just escaped the zone, and that's offside with 8:26 to go in the opening period. Shots are 10-1 in favor of Duluth. The RedHawks just cannot get something on net right now. But we are still scoreless in the game.
Yeah, and I think it's bound to be frustrating because they've had some, they haven't had a ton of offensive zone time, but their time in the offensive zone has generated a couple of, potential chances, but they, a flubbed pass or a whiff on a shot, puck hasn't gone in their stick as much as they would have liked it to.
This puck is tipped by the RedHawks beyond the red, and it goes up and into the protective netting in the far corner of the Duluth zone. It was tipped outside the blue line, so the face-off will be at neutral ice. This is an interesting line that's out for Miami. It's Messenberg, Morrison, Waldron for the RedHawks, with Dempsey alongside playing left defense with Hampus Ryquist.
Yeah, and we saw PJ Fletcher take a shift with these two a couple of shifts ago, so it looks like they're just rotating that right winger.
This is played all the way into the Miami end. It's on net and directed to the side by Neaton. Ryquist behind his net plays it up the far wall for Waldron, skating it through. His pass through the middle got tipped into the Duluth zone by Messenberg. Chopped up the near wall. It's picked up by Smith, but he got his pocket picked by Waldron. Skating into the loose puck, though, Clevin leaves just inside the blue line. Gallatin with a shot. That got blocked by Moulton on the near hash. It's sent back down low for Mangini. He gets hit nicely by Messenberg. The RedHawks retake possession. Banked up the near wall for Waldron. He skates away from one, and a cross-ice feed finds Moulton in space. He skates it across the Duluth line on the left wing and wraps it around the boards. Vitalis gets to it in the right corner for Miami. Tried to bank it down low looking for Barbolini, but Goetz cut it off, and he flutters it back out to center. It's gloved down quickly. Barbolini steps by the defender and Spicer and will fire it in. Clement on the pinch, pushes it in deep. Gallatin in the corner, turns it around, throws it up the half wall and finds Olsen, who directs it further for Spicer, and he will chip it into the RedHawk end. Biondi applying forecheck on Cox. He banks it for Clement. Fletcher on the near half wall couldn't clear on the first attempt, but the second effort gets it out to center. Barbolini pokes it beyond the center red all the way down. It will not be icing, and the RedHawks can go for changes here. With 6:48 to go in the first period, 11-1 are the shots in favor of Duluth, and it is 0-0. Benton's skating through the middle. He's got all sorts of white around him. Somehow pokes that one to Perkins down low off a deflection. Perkins hits the brakes behind the Miami net, throws it out in front. One whack, two whacks by Steves, and he couldn't get a shot away after the first save by Neaton. And the puck comes up to the left point where Pionk failed to hold the zone. Pearson Pionk play catch, and now he feeds up for Steves beyond the center red. He throws it into the RedHawk end. Bettens circles behind the Miami net, throws in front for Steves. It got tipped over his stick and held in the zone by Pierce. Now Steves with a one-timer from the center point, and it's blocked away. Cox will chop it to the near side for Dukovac, and the RedHawks get it out of the zone. Dukovac skates it up the left wing side. He got tumbled by Pierce. Arm is up, and we got a penalty here on Duluth. I believe this is going to come away from the play or maybe prior to that, as that hit on Dukovac looked clean, but they are going to get Duluth for a penalty. It's on Matthew Perkins, so it wasn't on the hit. The indication is this is a hook. It will be a 2-minute hooking minor. Penalties were few and far in between yesterday for the RedHawks. They only had 2 power plays. They will have their first on the other side of this break. We're scoreless here from Cady Arena with 6:01 to go in the first. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. .601 to go in the first period, and no score between Miami and Duluth, despite the Bulldogs out shooting Miami 11-1. RedHawks go to the power play. First power play of the game for either team. Hooking minor on Matthew Perkins, the freshman from Balgonie, Saskatchewan, and Miami to the man advantage for the first time. RedHawks were 0 for 2 yesterday on the season, 14.5%, 8 for 55. Miami does win the faceoff, and they will get set up. On the far wall, this is Fletcher up for Kumlin on the right point. Now Waldron from the left circle. Skates down low into the corner. He stops. Waldron now takes a step toward the net, but feeds back for Kumlin center point. Back to Waldron left circle. Fires one in. Blocker saved by Stayskol. Puck comes up the near half wall, and Spicer left it off for Pierce, who fired one that Kumlin gloved down, but just outside the blue. RedHawks have to regroup. Vitalins threads it ahead for Waldron. He can't enter the zone. Curling back and forth. Waldron tried to bank it around Pierce, but he was ready for it, and he'll grab it and throw it down with 40 seconds gone by in the power play. Duluth gets the second PK unit out. It's a 1-1-2 trap here for the Bulldogs as the RedHawks look to navigate it up the ice, still with their first power play unit on. Waldron enters the zone, leaves it off for Fletcher. Into the middle, Kumlin was looking for a one-timer, but the pass between his skates, and instead finds Barbolini on the near point. Now this is Kumlin walking the line, feeds Vitalin's left circle across for Waldron, backhands it over for Fletcher, and he couldn't one-time it. He grabs it now and goes back up for Kumlin right point, fakes the wrister and goes over for Fletcher in the right circle. Fletcher throws through traffic, it got blocked, and it's chopped back out to center by Loney as both teams go for changes. 40 seconds remaining in the power play. Miami's got 2 shots on goal in the game now, and we are still scoreless with 4.5 to play in the first. Pass up ahead, misses Helene and goes all the way into the near corner. Dubinsky wasn't able to clear. Now Mangini will chop it just outside the blue, and the RedHawks will have to regroup it with 20 seconds to go in the man advantage. Cox has it for the RedHawks, back into the lineup after missing yesterday. He hands to Taransky, who skates it up the left seam. Taransky enters the zone, a toe drag through, but he's dumped by Dubinsky, and he'll throw it down the ice to kill the last few seconds off of the penalty. Stopped behind the Miami net by Neaton. Matthew Perkins is a free man, and Duluth is 1 for 1 on the penalty kill tonight. Cox with a lead pass for Helene across the Duluth line on the left wing. Helene still on it, throws it out in front. Daskis fan on the shot. Now it's picked up by Dukovac, who's hustling around the right point for the RedHawks. Dukovac down the wing. Perkins pokes the puck away. Dukovac regathers along the wall, but the second poke check by Perkins gets it all the way down the ice. Cox hustling to get to that puck before Steves, and he swats it ahead for Dukovac, who crosses the center red and fires in. RedHawks will reset their lines, 3.5 to go first period, and still no score with Duluth out shooting Miami 11-2, and the Bulldogs with the game's only successful kill, following the only penalty of our first period on Matthew Perkins. Steves pass up ahead, tipped by Bettens, but 2 RedHawks take it away. Messenberg now up the left wing, enters the Duluth zone, gets to the half wall, lost it in his skates, and puck is now pushed up against the wall in the corner by Goetz. RedHawks steal it away, though, and get it back up to the left point. Moulton unable to hold the blue, though. It bounces over his stick. Back out to center. Clement tried to throw it off the glass and in, and he just sauced it over the glass
just
into the band. Out into the 10th row, and we get a stoppage with 2:58 to go in the first.
Yeah, and again, you see on that Miami power play, just, you know, a couple of missed passes. I thought that I honestly like the look with Vitalins in this near circle and Waldron in the slot, just because, you know, Waldron is such a good shot, and obviously, you know, if he can pull and drag, he loves that shot. He can get on net, but Vitalins is such a good distributor of the puck, which we talked about earlier, and Chris Bergeron talked about it yesterday in the press conference. If he can keep distributing the puck like that, then the power play is going to look good. But just another ineffective power play. Like one shot, just not a lot from it.
Duluth won that center ice faceoff and just kind of played around with the puck and then iced it. So the RedHawks are going to get gifted a offensive zone faceoff here. They got their top forward line out with Ryquist and Dempsey. Vitalins on the faceoff from the right wing side. It's a strong side with the lefty Fletcher on the wing.
So you like to see this first line get going here a little bit.
Vitalins wins the draw cleanly back to Ryquist on the right point. Throws it off of Goetz's skate and collects in front of the Zamboni doors. Goetz pins him. It's tucked down in front by Fletcher for the RedHawks, but a simple save is made by Stejskal. And Pionk having some trouble with Fletcher on his back below his own goal line, but he does eventually get it up, and a stretch pass up ahead for Biondi. He twists it for Spicer. It's backhanded further, but Olsen was behind the puck there, and the RedHawks get back defensively on the back check and clear. Vitalins directs it up for Barbolini just inside the blue, but puck is whacked off his stick and collected by Olsen with 2:14 to go in the first period. Olsen skating down the far wing with some speed. Alternate captain drags it through one, enters the zone, chips it to the far side, and now we'll send it into the Miami end. Picked up below the goal line by Feenstra. He got hit really hard by the Duluth captain, Luke Lowhite, but the RedHawks take it away, and Helene drives it up the right side and enters the Duluth zone. He hands for Waldron, who now leaves for Kumlin on the right point. A shot that got bounced through. A whack at it by Dukovac, but it never went on net. Now Waldron throws it through to nobody, but it finds Feenstra on the left point off a deflection. Now it's Waldron again on the right point. Throws it through, and a glove save made by Stejskal as it's picked up by McMenamin, and he'll navigate it out of the zone and dump it into the Miami end. McMenamin trying to push it up. It's saved in the right point of the Duluth offensive end by Pierce. He'll pinch down low. Now it's thrown back up to the right point where Loney is back there, and he throws a shot through that took two deflections and goes up and out of play in the left corner into the protective netting. 78 seconds to go in our first period. No score. Shots 11-4 in favor of the Bulldogs, and an offensive zone faceoff coming up here for UMD.
And you understand that you want to get, you want to find the best play and the most open guy, but at this point you're down 11-4 in shots. Just throw the puck on the net. Waldron kind of was just looking for the pass instead of looking towards the net. He found Feenstra, thankfully, and ended up getting a shot on net. But man, they need to get pucks through.
Taransky with a full head of steam off the faceoff, carries it out down the left wing side. Pierce stick checks him as he tries to fire it in. Now below the goal line, Daskis on the puck for Miami. It's pulled free by Sullivan. Sullivan drags and banks it off the left boards for Cox. He hits the brakes and throws one through. Taransky got a tip. Don't know if that one got on net, but it did not test the goaltender in Stejskal too much. RedHawks, though, still with the puck. Cox with a one-timer and a blocker save made through traffic by Stejskal. Taransky now wraps it in deep for Daskis. He bumps Bast off the puck, and Daskis has it in the right corner for Miami. Daskis will fling it in behind. Clement is pinched all the way down low for the RedHawks. He goes to work in the battle with Pierce. Reinforcements arrive for the Bulldogs, but Clement still working 1-on-2, and he wins the puck. Clement with a cross-ice pass. He was looking for Cox on the left point. It was open, but he threw it too far to the middle of the ice, and it'll go all the way back down to the Miami end with 22 seconds to go. Quick pass wrapped around the boards up ahead. Clement finds it outside the Duluth blue line on the left wing side, but it's taken away as Klevin pinned him up against the wall with 11 seconds to play in the first. Maybe one final rush in the cards for the Bulldogs. They tip it into the Miami end. Drasner leaves it off for Clement. He directs it up the left side wall for Fletcher, who lifts this one all the way down the ice, and time will expire on the opening period of play. Less fireworks than the period we saw yesterday for Miami. They scored 2 goals in the first minute and 5 seconds of the series opener last night. Tonight, the RedHawks came out a little bit flatter, but fortunately played good enough defense and had good enough goaltending in that first period with Logan Neaton making 11 saves, that we are scoreless after 20 minutes of play. It is 0-0. That third/fourth line started to ratchet up the intensity, Jeff, for Miami over those final couple of minutes. Felt like that was needed for a Red Hawk team that really did not have a whole lot of zone time outside of that one unsuccessful power play, I should say, in the first.
Yeah, and I think that you know, they're really good. We saw it yesterday too. They're really good at setting the tone. I mean, you know, Artur Taransky, again, Chris Bergeron was really complimentary of his play over these, not even just yesterday, but over these last couple of series. He's been really good at just possessing the puck and kind of creating plays for himself and for his teammates, opening up passing lanes through the middle of the ice. That line has just been really good, and I think that, you know, the first and second lines they've had to follow suit, and you know, I think that they've done that. They did that later in this period. But again, at this point, you just kind of need to get shots through. You know, Stejskal yesterday wasn't very. He looked kind of, you know, fidgety in the net, and tonight he's looked more confident, partially just because he hasn't really had much to contend with. So I think in the next period, you just got to focus on getting shots through, trying to play pucks to the middle of the ice, even if it's unsuccessful. Just simple plays through the neutral zone and in the offensive zone.
No score between Miami and Duluth after one period of play. Jeff and I back for the call of the second period. Coming up, for now, we send it over to Luke Lewis for a Red Hawk Radio Intermission Report.
Thanks, boys. Well, not the start Miami wanted today. Definitely different from yesterday when they started out scoring 2 goals in the first 2 minutes. But physical play nonetheless. They're big defensemen, 5 of them, as we mentioned last game, over 6 feet tall, 2 inches. Provided physical play on the talented Minnesota Duluth players. Now, Miami couldn't generate much offensively. Their first shot coming 3.5 minutes into the game. Overall, UMD outshot Miami 11-5 in the period. Miami is going to have to continue to generate scoring opportunities in the second period. Up front for Miami, the Waldron line looked good off the jump. Not much out of the top line from Vitalins, Barbolini, and Fletcher. They started to pick it up as the period went on, but Miami is going to need them if they want a chance in this one today. We saw Spencer Cox back in the lineup tonight, deliver a couple big hits at the beginning of the period, and at the end of the period, get some quality scoring chances from the blue line, some good shots on net. He looked like the best defenseman on Miami's squad in the first period. Now Miami's going to have to test Stejskal much more in the second period. Not a lot of high danger opportunities out of them. Dylan Moulton looked pretty good on the back end, blocking a few shots. Overall, Miami much more physical than they were last night, delivering a lot of big hits, specifically on the captain for the Bulldogs, Luke Low-Height. Now, the top 6 forwards for Miami are going to have to pick up the pace a little bit in the second period. They need to generate high danger scoring opportunities away from the power play, even strength, as they are outshot by 6 goals. Now we did see some good pressure by Miami at the end of the period. We are still scoreless here, 0-0. A lot of the possession during the game took place in the neutral zone. It was a bit back and forth, but more in the Miami defensive zone, as clearly the Bulldogs dominated the pace of play in the first period. Speaking of the Bulldogs, they jumped on the Miami RedHawks early, generating some good scoring chances, specifically out of that top line, Quinn Olson, Cole Spicer, and Blake Biondi. We saw yesterday Quinn Olson and Cole Spicer. That line had a pretty slow start to the game. Obviously, Spicer scored later in the second period, but they were pretty quiet at the beginning of the game yesterday, which was a main reason for Miami's 2-goal lead today. A different story. They jumped on hard with a strong forecheck and got a lot of good net front presence with some shots early. Luke Low-Height, I mentioned him before, taking a big hit from Spencer Cox. He also delivered quite a few himself. As the period is winding down, he laid a huge hit on Alex Kumlin. Some big bodies colliding there. Now, as I mentioned, the top line looked good for Duluth Bulldogs. Let's talk about that second line, Steves, Perkins, and Bettens. Obviously, This was the highlight of the Bulldogs team yesterday, with Ben Steeves scoring 2 of their 3 goals and the shootout winner, of course. Miami's done a good job limiting Ben Steeves tonight. He had a couple shots, but not too high-danger scoring opportunities. One from just the goal line that Logan Neaton gloved with ease. In general, however, Miami's getting outshot. They haven't been that many high-danger scoring opportunities for the Bulldogs. A lot of shots from the perimeter. And like I mentioned in the pregame, last game, UMD provided a big net front presence that the big defensemen of Miami didn't do a good enough job boxing them out. Tonight, a bit of a different story. Still a lot of shots on Logan Neaton, but he seemed to save him with ease. Not too many screens in front of the net. When we come back, we will check in on scores from around the league and talk about the keys in the second period the RedHawks are going to need to execute in order to get back in this game. It is scoreless, as I mentioned, but the Bulldogs dominating the pace of play. We will be back shortly on the first intermission, live on Red Hawk Radio. We're back here live in the first intermission break on Red Hawk Radio. As I look around the rink, a pretty packed crowd, pretty packed student section for the RedHawks tonight. I know students are dealing with finals, maybe partying a little too hard on the Saturday night prior to, but that's up to them. A rainy day here in Oxford as well. Pretty gross Midwest temperatures. A great night for hockey nonetheless. Let's check out the scores from around the league. I spoke on it briefly in the pregame show, how Colorado College had a big 3-2 win in overtime against North Dakota yesterday. They did not stop the pressure. Up 1-0 at the end of the first period in North Dakota against the #1 team in the country. Rather, #3 now after last night. And Denver back to their hard-playing ways against Western Michigan, up 4-2 in the middle of the second period there. I'm sure that squad came out firing today after the embarrassing 7-3 loss against Western Michigan. St. Cloud State and Omaha yet to get underway. Michigan State picks up right where they left off last night, up 2-0 on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They currently sit at 7th in the country in the standings. If they win again tonight, they might vault up. Wisconsin and Penn State is just getting underway. Same with Minnesota and Ohio State. In the Hockey East Conference, Boston College with a nice 5-4 win over Providence. Both teams ranked in the top 11. That was a good game over there. Northern Michigan up 3-1 on Michigan Tech. We got about 4 minutes until the start of this second period here for Miami. Let's look back at the end of that first period for Miami. They started to pick up the pace a little bit. Obviously a slow start, getting outshot a ton. But they came out in the final probably 3 minutes of that first period, ready to go. That top line of Barbolini, Vitалens, and Fletcher picked up the pace a little with physical play and getting some shots on net. Now, only one power play in the first period, and that went to Miami. And I spoke on this in the pregame. Spencer Cox back in the lineup. He wasn't on the power play 1 unit. Kumlin quarterbacked that one, and Miami couldn't get much generated during the power play 1 line. A little bit different with the second power play unit, with Dukovac, Helene, Waldron, and Cox back quarterbacking the top with his versatile movement and hard shot from the point. I'm curious to see if Chris Bergeron puts Cox on the power play 1 unit. He looks much more confident at the top of the key, handling the puck, than Kumlin. Now during that power play, they only had 1 shot on net. It was a John Waldron shot from the perimeter. Like I said earlier, they're going to have to get shots from the top of the point and get bodies in front of the net, provide deflections, pick up rebounds, and screen the 6'5" Stejskal. Now, like I mentioned before, not a high-danger scoring opportunity for Miami on that power play. Not too many high-danger scoring opportunities for both squads during that first period. I'm expecting one of the teams to break through in the second period and put a crooked number up on the board. The refs skate out on the ice and the lights turn up. Let's look at some keys to the game in the second period. I mentioned the power play. They're going to have to get a lot more shots from the point and generate scoring opportunities. That starts with skating the puck through the neutral zone and having crisp, strong passes. Now, the top 2 lines for Miami as well is going to have to step up, especially that first line I mentioned before. They ended the first period very strongly. We're going to like to see more out of them. Logan Neaton looked pretty good, facing 11 shots, stopping all 11 of them. Zach Stejskal not tested early. That's going to have to be something Miami's going to have to do. Obviously, yesterday, they tested Stejskal really early, and he looked mighty shaky tonight. A bit of a different story. Should be a good second period. We're about a minute out over here at Steve Coach Cady Arena. Miami heads through the tunnel, skates on the ice. I'm going to send it back over to my counterparts, Jeff Middleton and Luke West Poley. They'll have the call for you in the second period. I'll see you back at the second intermission between Miami and Minnesota Duluth.
All right, Jeff, back for the second period. Game 2 of this series between Miami and Minnesota Duluth were scoreless after one period of play. Duluth out shooting Miami 11-5, and RedHawks picked it up a little bit towards the final few minutes of that period, Jeff, but first 17 minutes or so were not good for the RedHawks. Very fortunate that they remain tied in this game. You've highlighted a lot on needing to test Zach Stejskal. That's something that the RedHawks have failed to do really with any high-danger chances so far.
Yeah, and I think that, the start of this period is going to be a big test for them. Obviously, in the second period yesterday, Duluth came out really fast, and, Miami really hasn't come out with any of their speed that they had yesterday in this game so far. So if they can get going really early, get a couple of chances from the slot or from the circles, they can start this period off with some good momentum. But again, even on that power play that they had in the first, they just didn't get much going. So we're gonna have to see what they do here. I'd like to see this first line kind of get some forward momentum going, because they've been kind of quiet tonight so far.
Miami moves left to right in the white uniforms. Duluth moves right to left in the maroons. Underway as the RedHawks win the opening faceoff of the second period. RedHawks have shuffled the lines. It's Vitalins, Barbolini, along with Waldron out as the forwards for Miami, and they've got it in the Duluth end. Barbolini rips it around the boards to the near wall. It's picked up for the Bulldogs by Quinn Olson, and he will lift this one back out to center. Bouncing puck was secured for a moment by Spicer, but he fell down and punched it back to Biondi, who got hammered. RedHawks take it away, and Clement's pass up ahead hit off the underside of Waldron's stick. It's deflected into the Duluth end. Olson on it for the Bulldogs, alternate captain, draft pick of the Bruins. Sends it up ahead. Biondi banking it back for Olson. It was whacked away by Kumlin for the RedHawks just inside their own blue line. Miami clears it down, and icing just barely as Pionk got to that puck right after it had crossed the goal line. 47 seconds into this second period. We're still scoreless in an offensive zone faceoff for Duluth and their second line coming up on the left wing side.
And again, no test there from Johnny Waldron. Thought he might try and look to get one on net there, but instead just dumped it down low for Vitalins and Barbolini to try and figure it out on the far side. But they're going to try and find a way to get in the zone with possession, because they haven't been able to do that so far. Duluth's been really good at picking the puck off their sticks.
Face-off win on a left point shot by Pionk, hit a stick in front and deflected wide. RedHawks lift it back out into the Duluth end, and Helene's forecheck steals it away from Pionk. Helene gets pasted on the near wall, and two players go down now, one for each team. RedHawks get it back into the zone, but Helene was offside as that puck just barely got out, and the Bulldogs regroup. Gates lead pass for Bettens. He backhands it over for Perkins driving in. A fired shot from the right side hit off of Kumlin's stick. It's picked up once again and thrown back in front by Bettens. Gets his own rebound save made by Neaton, and he jumps on the loose puck with Steves waiting on the doorstep to bang that one in. It's frozen with 18:36 to go in the second period. And the RedHawks just kind of got caught standing around there by Kyle Bettens, who got two shots away on that sequence.
Yeah, just kind of a weak poke away by Axel Kumlin there, and it ended up back on the stick of the Bulldogs. And obviously, you don't want Ben Steves to have his stick open on that end for a rebound. Great save by Logan Neaton on that initial shot.
Face off on the left wing side for Duluth's third line. McMenamin, Loney, low height, and the RedHawks win the draw. Thomas Daskis sends it straight back. Dempsey rings it to the far side. It was tipped on the wall, so it won't be icing, and Stejskal comes out of his net and rings it along the glass on the near wall to get it out of the zone. McMenamin got hit. He was stumbling a bit, but kept his footing and kept control of the puck in the process. Now a turnover in front, though, for Duluth. Taransky drags and shoots. Save made by Stejskal. Rebound is chopped over the net by Daskis. Wow, that was a careless giveaway, and Artur Taransky made a really nice move to turn that into a high-danger chance, perhaps the first real big chance that the RedHawks have had all game. Dempsey turns it around as Duluth has cleared the zone. He fires it back in off the tip by Taransky. It comes on net, and Stejskal plays it to the side. Duluth breaks it out of their own end on a pass through the middle of the ice. McMenamin on the near side shovels it in, and it's handled on the Miami net by Logan Neaton. He paddles it off for Hampus Ryquist, up ahead for Daskis, who skates it down the right wing. Daskis leaves inside the blue line for Waldron. At the right dot, nice hit by Smith to take him off the puck. Now it's thrown in front off the loose puck there by Waldron. A save was made. Clement laid a big hit, and now Waldron will take the puck away and fire in a cross-corner dump. Vitalins going after it along with Dubinsky in the near corner. Both guys collide in the near corner next to the goal line along the wall, and now the puck is stuck between the two men's skates. Each team with one reinforcement, and Miami pulls it free. Barbolini working into tight space, turns it around, goes for Waldron, who chips it down low. It came off the end boards out in front, but it's picked up by Gallatin for Duluth, and he will clear the zone as Mangini gets to it and tries to throw it out in front. It's blocked away, though, and Duluth keeps control. Dubinsky to the near side. Room to skate for Pionk. Slaps one on net. Blocker save made by Neaton. Rebound picked up by Mangini, and he hands for Pionk down the left side. Pionk drives the net, throws it in front. Loose puck. It's thrown near the net, but it's tipped wide off the stick of Kyler Clevin there for the Bulldogs. Still with possession on the near side. Mangini wraps it behind the net for Clevin, and now he'll leave it for Smith on the far half wall. Smith goes back for Clevin, and now Mangini behind the goal line. And he tried to throw it back up to the point, but Pionk was unsuspecting. He'll let that one go back out to the neutral zone and rip it back in. Forecheck going to work for Duluth. It rings around to the far point where it's held in. Nice move there by Biondi, but he throws one in that's easily saved from the right side boards by Logan Neaton, and he holds on with 16:14 to go in the second period. Shots in favor of Duluth 16-7, and we're still scoreless.
Yeah, much more offense coming in early in this period. Just a couple good chances for Miami down on their end, and then Duluth back down the other way. Seeing some solid puck movement from both teams, and, you know, it's good to see Miami kind of building that foundation here. They need to keep it up. You know, they just make the simple plays. They don't need anything crazy right now. You know, they're down in shots, but they've had more shots in this first 3 minutes or however long than they had almost all period in the last period. So
face-off win by Biondi for the Bulldogs to the right point for Goats, and he'll chip this one in down low for Spicer. Left for Olsen right in front of the Zamboni doors. Olsen skates free on the right side, sauces it in front. Biondi with a one-timer, he scores. Wow, what a rocket coming from Blake Biondi. A one-timer from the high slot, and he beats Logan Neaton over the right shoulder, top shelf. It's Duluth's 17th shot, and finally they break the ice. It's 1-0 Bulldogs.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Just a great pass, and obviously, you know, a rocket from Biondi, the Montreal Canadiens draft pick, especially after, you know, Artur Taransky created that chance down low for Miami. Thought you might get some momentum going forward, but that first line for this Duluth team has been really good so far this weekend, and there's just another strike from them.
Biondi, who played his 100th career game yesterday, gets his third of the year, and Duluth makes it 1-0 just under 4 minutes into the period. RedHawks get a shot in off the face-off as Taransky got it in, but it's blockered away by Stayskill. Picked up in the Duluth end by Joey Pierce, and he'll skate it up the far side. Pierce tried to push it through the middle, but that lane was not there. Steves will grab it and dump it in to the near corner where Drasner leaves off for Messenberg. Messenberg shovels it through the middle of the ice, and it gets out as far as the red line before Duluth gets back to it. Fast pass up ahead is pushed forward. Steves now in a 2-on-1. Fakes, goes around the net, tried to wrap it in front. Delayed penalty here on the RedHawks, but Steves keeps possession of it as the RedHawks keep it out of the front of their net. Over to the left side, 6 skaters on for the Bulldogs. Bast plays it back below the goal line and now has it back in the near corner. Banks it up to the left point for Spicer. Across for Joey Pierce now on the right side. Pierce back for Spicer, walks from center point to left point. Cross ice feed for Pierce, now over for Steves. Back to Pierce, top of the right circle. His shot got blocked by Taransky. Still 6 skaters on the ice on the delayed penalty, and Duluth still with it. Steves skates down the right side. Drag, shoots, and scores. Wow. Ben Steves with his 3rd goal of the weekend, and it's another top shelf snipe for the Bulldogs. And that quickly, Duluth makes it 2-0 with 2 goals in very quick succession, just about a minute and a half in between the 2 tallies. And with college rules, you get the penalty too. Blake Messenberg heading off the ice, 2 minutes for holding, and a power play coming up for the Bulldogs, a power play that's been lethal this season. A goal yesterday and 31% on the year.
I mean, a little speechless just because, I mean, first of all, there's nothing that Logan Neaton can do on that. Ben Steves saw it in the first period on a shot from the far wall. I mean, there's hardly a way that most players can make that threatening, but, man, he makes that shot threatening and you know, give him a rip from that far circle. We saw that yesterday as well. His power play tally was from that far circle down on this end, down on the left side, and, again, just an absolute rocket, you know, top cheddar. No way for Neaton to stop that one.
So now Duluth goes to the power play, up 2-0 here with 14:38 to go in the second period. Pass across to the far side. Steves caught it in stride, but he was a step behind everyone. Skates it in off sides. 9 seconds elapsed on the penalty. 5 minutes and 15 seconds elapse after a scoreless first period, and Duluth scores twice to take a 2-0 lead over Miami. 2 goals for the Bulldogs that came over a minute and 17 seconds.
And it felt like that was coming as well.
Face-off win for the RedHawks, and they clear. You're right. I mean, Duluth has had a heavy shots lead pretty much the whole game, and the RedHawks have been sitting back a little bit in their own defensive zone throughout parts of these first couple periods. Another delayed play at the line means Miami gets a free clear out of it. Waldron's going to skate it down the left side, drags and shoots. It's tipped wide. Barbolini will grab it for the RedHawks and go back for Clement. He feeds up ahead for Waldron, who settles it out of the air just inside the left line, throws it in on net, and he will force Stejskal to hold with 14:03 to go in the second period. Minute 19 to go on the holding penalty to Blake Messenberg, and Miami will get an offensive zone face-off out of this with 4 guys on the ice. RedHawks go with Sullivan and Fletcher, along with Kumlin and Feenstra.
See, and that's why I think that getting shots on net, especially against Stejskal, is really important, not only just because Stejskal can get a little fidgety sometimes, but also because you get offensive zone draws out of it, and Miami recently has been really good with the face-offs.
Face-off win, Kumlin with a point blast and a save
like
made with the breadbasket. He hit him in the chest, but there were 2 RedHawks in the area that could have had a tip on it, and both were close. It's a shot on net for Miami, gets him into double digits. Shots now 18-10 in favor of the Bulldogs. They lead 2-0 with 13:57 to go in the second period. Minute and 12 seconds left on the Blake Messenberg minor, and a face-off on the left wing side for Miami in the offensive zone.
And obviously you want to create shots from the slot, but those point shots with screens in front are certainly, I mean, pucks on net is important, and those can get by.
Feenstra got a shot in, but it didn't really get everything on it, and it just skittered harmlessly wide as Duluth pulls it behind their net, and now they'll set up the power play breakout. Working to the near side. Bast leaves it off for Olsen, who skates up the left seam. Hands for Gallatin, a pass through the middle. Sullivan picked it off. Biondi gets to it, though, to hold the zone. Duluth fortunate that wasn't a breakaway as the puck deflects up into the netting. And out of play with 45 seconds to go in the penalty. 13:29 to go in the second. That was nearly a pickoff going the other way for Ryan Sullivan, but Duluth will get an offensive zone draw out of this with 45 seconds left on the man advantage.
And the penalty kill so far has been pretty solid. We're a minute 15 seconds into it, but winning this draw from Matt Barbolini is going to need to win this draw. It's a big face-off here in the defensive zone. No Ben Steves out there either.
It's Biondi, the right winger, that takes the draw, and he wins it cleanly away from Barbolini for the Bulldogs. Gallatin on the near half wall, reverses and goes back up top for Bast center point. Fed across for Spicer, back to Bast. Wrists it down low. A pass in front intended for Biondi. Got blocked away by Ryquist. RedHawks can't clear. Now the loose puck grabbed by Drasner, and he can't get it out the left side of the zone. Gallatin holds, but his D-to-D pass hit off Bast's skate and will squirt out to center. Spicer will ring it in, and puck rolls around to the near side. Barbolini lost it as Olsen drives up to the left point and now leaves it off. Cross-ice pass over for Bast, top of the right circle with 7 seconds to go in the power play. Gallatin now drives left circle, feeds it across for Spicer. Tap down low for Olsen, back up to Spicer in the right circle. Penalty has been killed. Spicer with a shot. It gets tipped over the top of the net, and Gallatin can't hold the zone with 3 RedHawks around him. He'll fire it back in, but the RedHawks can reset here. Both teams go for changes, and we're back 5-on-5. Ryquist throws that one down for icing. There were a lot of Bulldogs changing, and looked like he was trying to draw too many men there and just hit one of them, but he missed everybody and goes all the way down for icing with 12:28 to go in the second.
I always find that play kind of funny. As a hockey player myself, and Luke, you play as well, just see if you can
these guys
luck into it a little bit.
These guys are really smart. There's a lot of those very subtle plays like that at the college level that what do we have here? So we have an officials timeout, it looks like. They're calling it an immediate timeout. What is going on here?
I guess it just
Scott
is
Sandlin's getting an explanation. So it is immediate timeout. the puzzling thing here is that you can't have a media timeout on an icing because you're not allowed to change. And so Scott Sandlin is understandably not very happy on the Duluth bench. The official just kind of stopped play right before the puck was about to be dropped. I don't know what is going on. Well, now I see on the far side that one of the officials is
gear malfunction.
Yeah, getting some tending to by Andy Geshin, the Miami equipment manager. Looks like he might have snapped a lace potentially, or he's getting some tape around ankle part of his skate. I don't know. Regardless, it's still going to be icing. I got my hopes up for a second that the officials were going to discuss that for too many men, but instead it is just an icing call that turns into a officials timeout and media timeout. We won't take a break as the media timeout's already over as we're trying to sort that whole thing out. So 12:28 to go, second period. 2-0 Duluth.
Still taping up that bottom. It looks like it might be a shin pad.
Yeah, so he's wearing
like a shin pad.
These officials, they've got a CCM gear sponsorship in the NCHC, and they wear special official shin guards that aren't as bulky as the shin guards worn by the players, and they also wear these sleeves that go over the top of them that a lot of them tuck their laces into, and it looked like there was some sort of issue with that. Might have been slipping or something, so he got some tape, and now we're all ready to go. That was Brian Hankey's number 20 in the stripes. Face-off on the far side of the ice, and the RedHawks win the draw. Clement grabbed it right next to the face-off dot, and he gets bumped off the puck, but finds Moulton on the near side in the corner. Moulton knocks it further for Sullivan on the half wall. Sullivan hit by Gates, but able to find Moulton and release off to Clement, but Clement turns it over. Mangini drags, shoots, save made with the chest of Logan Neaton, and he holds on with 12:06 to go.
What is happening with the referees? You see him almost fall over. Wow.
He's laughing it off. He saved himself about $40. It's a round of drinks if you fall as an official in the NCHC.
I didn't know
highly confidential information, I guess, but you owe it to the whole crew. So
he had the net there supporting him.
Yeah, 30-ish bucks that he saved himself. Face off on the left wing side for Duluth in the offensive zone. And it's won by the RedHawks, Blake Messenberg, but Feenstra turns it over, bouncing puck up to the left point. Goetz throws one through, and it's blocked by Messenberg. Messenberg looking for an option. Nice job by Loney to knock him off the puck, and he chipped it over looking for low height, but it hopped his stick. Dukovac now on the far wall. Had to take a deflection off the backhand, gets the puck back and feeds Feenstra behind the net. Feenstra over for Messenberg, handles around McMenamin, and goes across the ice for Max Dukovac. Dukovac ahead for Daskis, tips it past center ice, a hit up high on Dukovac, or Daskis rather, by Goetz. Arm is up, and that will be a penalty on the Bulldogs. Call is interference. Daskis was in a vulnerable position, reaching out for that puck. And so the penalty is 2 for interference on Darian Goetz, who just lit up Daskis. It probably looked a lot worse than it was because Daskis was off balance, but the main point is that the puck wasn't there, and so Miami will go to the power play for the second time.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can't get much more interference-y than that. It's a nice little chip play by Daskis to draw that penalty as well. And he saw that puck fly through the neutral zone, and he went 1-on-2, but was able to draw it. It was a great play. Now let's see if Miami can get something going here.
Face-off is won by Spicer. Duluth will reverse ice and throw this one down. Olsen provides the clearance.
Didn't look like Vitalins was ready for that puck.
Yeah, the face-off was between Spicer and Vitalins, and Spicer moved, and Vitalins really didn't until it was too late. So Miami lost the draw clean. Kumlin heads up the left side for the RedHawks and hands off for Barbolini right inside the blue line. Barbolini's cross-ice pass got picked off, but Spicer can't clear. RedHawks get it across. Barbolini with a doorstep chance, and Stejskal says no. He holds on. 11:06 to go in the second, 29 seconds into the power play. Matthew Barbolini nearly turned it over for a breakaway going the opposite direction, but a couple seconds later found himself one-on-one with the goaltender and couldn't beat him.
Yeah, we know how hard of a shot Matt Barbolini has. I had the pleasure of watching him at Pred's Dev Camp, or Pred's Rookie Camp a little bit ago, a couple years ago, and he broke the glass at the where the Preds were practicing, so he's got a hard shot.
Fletcher down the right side, hands it for Barbolini in the corner. I'm sure Miami alum Jake Eulenbrock, who runs the practice facility there, wasn't too happy with that. It's ripped wide by Waldron and will ring out of the zone and be picked up by Axel Kumlin. This team has alumni in the NHL, not only at the playing level, but also managing the rinks for both the Predators and the Red Wings.
I didn't know the Red Wings won. That's interesting.
It's cleared out. He was my youth coach. Coach Matt, shout out, runs the Red Wings practice facility. Kumlin hands it back for Dukovac with 44 seconds to go in the penalty. Helene just inside the blue line, rips it around the wall to Fletcher on the near side. Fletcher shovels back in for Dukovac. Now banked back for Fletcher on the half wall with space. Fletcher up center point for Cox. Wrister in. It's blocked away by Pierce. Dukovac gets the loose puck on the wall. Pierce hops on him, and Duluth pulls it out, but cannot clear. Held in the left point by Helene. Skating across, he feeds it down for Fletcher, bottom of the circle. Fletcher works his way up to the top of the right circle with 16 to go in the man advantage. Cox center point wrists one in. It got tipped by Lohite, who was in his face, and it goes up into the protective netting with 12 seconds to go in the power play. 9:47 to go in the second period, and it's 2-0 Bulldogs. Offensive zone draw on the left side for Miami.
I think that Spencer Cox being back is really important. We talked about it yesterday, how much they missed him on this power play, but I think he's probably the best defenseman on this Miami team at getting pucks through from the point. So if Miami can, get guys to the front of the net, if they can get another power play, or even just when Spencer Cox is out there at even strength, if they can get guys to the front of the net, we've seen Cox create some goals like that over the course of this season. So
Duluth won the faceoff, and Miami forecheck forces a turnover. Ryquist with a tip shot in front by Daskis, but it did not end up on the net. Missed wide to the left, and Duluth will clear and kill off the penalty as Goetz is out of the box. Bulldogs back to full strength, and they're 2 for 2 on the kill. Puck is fed ahead. Morrison tips it into the Duluth end. Dubinsky throws a blind pass behind him. Steves is there, but he coughs it up. Turnaround shot by Daskis goes wide for the RedHawks. On the far side of the ice, Dubinsky pokes it just beyond the blue. Puck deflects up in the air and hits something on the Miami bench. Get a whistle and a neutral zone faceoff coming up with 9:15 to go in the second period. Much slower moving second period than what we had in the first. It's 2-0 Bulldogs.
Feels much slower moving even compared to the first 3 minutes of this second period.
Yeah.
Just not a ton of stuff. I will say that Miami's, they look better. It's not all coming together. It doesn't look like it's all clicking, like it did against an Arizona State or a Canisius or, those kind of teams. Obviously, Duluth is a very strong defensive team, even though they give up a lot of shots. But just that one pass going into a skate or a pass that's flubbed, it's not all there.
Face-off win by the Bulldogs, and they will control it. It's deflected in on net. Neaton has to come out to it. The puck is loose. It's thrown back in front. Players all over it. Where is the puck? It's on the far side. Whistle blows, and now the players starting to go at it next to the Miami net. There's a Duluth player down on the ice. That's Smith. He and Dempsey going after each other. There's a pile that's carried to the far side in the Zamboni doors. That puck got deflected at the left side blue line. It was a dump attempt that came in on net, and Neaton had to play it off a hop, and it took an awkward bounce that came way further out than Neaton was expecting it to. And so instead of being able to just reach out and cover it up, he actually had to lay out for that puck. And a Duluth player got there in time to chop it free, and after that, couldn't really see where the puck was from here, but everybody was whacking at it, and obviously the RedHawks weren't too pleased with what was going on. Officials have broken everything up. See if we get any penalties out of this. It does not initially look like we are going to, and now maybe it does.
Does Braden Morrison get a save for that? Looks like he kind of dove in the net and blocked the puck from.
That's what we're seeing on the replay. He sealed
one for one.
Far post. Block on the goal line. Should count for something, I feel like, at least. Officials are meeting right now. The puck is laid down.
Looks like we got one Duluth. We got a penalty on
there's
Duluth.
At least one Duluth penalty.
Oh, we got another one. It's Messenberg.
Yeah, and so Messenberg's going to come over for Miami. The Duluth penalty's on Clevin. So we're probably just going to get some offsetting stuff here, and we'll play 5-on-5. 4-on-4, they say. All right, so we play 4-on-4. Face-off will, well, it was supposed to be in the Miami zone. The puck was put down there while the officials were talking, and now Eric Frank has picked the puck up and has skated over to the Duluth bench, and the players are kind of standing around outside the blue line, but now Frank does point at the end zone face-off spot, and that's where the face-off will take place in Miami's D zone. 4-on-4 here for the next 2 minutes. Penalties to Messenberg and Clevin, each for roughing. 9:01 to go in the second period, 2-0 Bulldogs.
We're getting it all this weekend, Luke. We got 5-on-5, 3-on-3 yesterday. Now we get some 4-on-4.
Neither team scored in the 3-on-3 yesterday, if that matters at all to you. Extra space out there on the ice. Face-off win by the Bulldogs, but Barbolini pokes it away and will race up the ice on the far side. Swims around Goetz and pins him up against the far wall, as now the puck is pulled free by Vitalins, but he gets his pocket picked by Olsen, and he'll set it up behind the Duluth net. Miami forecheck goes after him a little bit, but Duluth gets it out to Spicer in space, and now he'll circle back towards his own end. Handoff to Darian Goetz, and he'll quarterback it, feeding over to Olsen on the far side, who enters the Miami zone. Olsen with a cross-ice pass hit off of Spicer's skate in the slot and went up into the netting with 8:29 to go in the second period. 32 seconds gone by in the 4-on-4, and not a whole lot has happened. Defensive zone draw coming up here for the RedHawks as both teams go for changes.
I'd be curious to hear about what Matt Barbolini was thinking on that play, because while it's not a bad play to just kind of toss it up and go chase it, he had a lot of space and he had the puck on his stick, and we know that he's a fast skater with and without the puck, but I saw him kind of poke it away from himself, and I was a bit curious considering how much space they have out there.
RedHawks win the face-off, and Feenstra wraps it around the near side of his net. He'll hit the brakes with Steves applying the forecheck. D to Kumlin. Now across for Waldron. Couldn't handle the pass, but regathers with plenty of space. Biondi applying a little bit of pressure. Waldron has it, and he'll skate up the right side of the ice. Waldron handles towards the outside, now works in, gets across the blue, and Gallatin takes the puck away for the Bulldogs. Steves hands over for Dubinsky. 1 minute to play in the 4-on-4. 7:58 to go in the second period. 2-0 Duluth. Hand up the near side goes to Steves, playing some 1-on-2. Skates laterally to buy some time, and now goes back towards his own end. Fakes the pass once, twice, and now goes to Gallatin on the near side. Gallatin across for Dubinsky. Back to Gallatin just inside his own blue line. Pass forced ahead to Biondi. Gets dumped over by Kumlin, and he'll steal the puck away for Miami with 34 seconds to go. Kumlin plays catch with Feenstra. Pass got deflected by Perkins, but still finds Waldron, who had to go back to get it, and Waldron will now skate it forward with 3 defenders in his face. Waldron fakes and now just fires it in off the glass. A bouncing puck. Stayskill tried to get it with the paddle, but he missed. Fortunately, plenty of Bulldogs back there to get it as the RedHawks were changing, and no one was there to get on that puck. Fletcher now on the forecheck for Miami. Gallatin skates it past him. Tried to leave it for Perkins, but he didn't know the puck was there. It hits off the official now, though, and Duluth will get the puck back as Zane Dempsey was waiting behind that. Penalties have expired. Each team returns 1 to the ice, and we're back to 5-on-5. As Bast has it on the near side for Duluth. He leaves it just inside the blue for Perkins. Drags it through Reichwest's legs, but takes a spill. Benton's across in the slot. McMenamin with a shot. It's blocked away, and now a pass threaded through. Fletcher on a breakaway. Pierce chasing him down. Fletcher moves in, chips it. Save made by Stayskill, and he covers up the rebound. Reichwest drove in. Maybe a little too close to the goaltender there. He got tackled by the back-checking Duluth player, Kyle Bettens.
Bettens is confused as to why he got a penalty there. A little bit of a what did I do motion.
Reichwest came in, and Bettens is going to get the penalty. Reichwest came in because that save was not clean by Stayskill. He made the initial save. Fletcher just tried to chip it towards his glove side, and he got it with the glove, but he didn't catch it. And so the puck sat on the ice and started to roll towards the net when he covered it up. And when Hampus Reichwest saw that loose puck in the crease, he went after it. And that did not please Kyle Bettens, who took Reichwest down. That's a penalty, though. And the officials gave a minor, and Miami will head back to the power play for the third time following our immediate timeout. We'll stay here for it with 6:38 to go in this second period. All right, 2 unsuccessful power plays, Jeff. Chances maybe, but not a whole ton of them for Miami. on the first couple of power plays. What are you looking for out of this Red Hawk power play the third time around?
I think, honestly, we talked about it, before this game even started. It was just taking advantage of the opportunities that you get. And like you said, Luke, there haven't been a lot of chances. Only 12 shots on goal. This is going to be their third power play of the night. I'd look for, one or two chances that the Redhawks really need to take advantage of. I'd like to see, like I talked about in the first period, I believe on Miami's first power play, I'd like to see Vitalins in the far circle, kind of looking and distributing the puck where he can find it. And, Waldron will probably be here on this near side or in the slot. So, yeah, just looking, I'd probably try and feed the puck to Vitalins if they can and then see what he can do with it because, he's probably the best passer, or at least one of the best passers on this team. See if he can win this face-off draw. See if he can win this offensive zone face-off here first and foremost. But once they can get it in possession, then that should be something to look out for.
Possession has been a little bit of an issue from Miami. A lot of the power plays this weekend, they've wasted the first 30, 40 seconds, even close to a minute, just trying to get set up.
I think that goes for the second unit as well.
They do win the faceoff, though, and they get set up right off the rip here. Fletcher throws it in front. It's tipped. Puck is loose, but the save made by Stayskill, and Spicer grabs the loose puck and throws it down.
There's one of those chances. Puck's loose in front of the net, and no sticks are there to get it by him.
Kumlin holding behind the Miami net. They get a shot right away on this power play. And Kumlin will leave it back inside his own blue line for Fletcher, who moseys towards the middle of the ice. Fletcher shimmies and threads a pass ahead for Barbolini, and it got chopped off his stick and evades the zone as Kumlin will grab it and regroup for the Redhawks. Kumlin leaves for Vitalins, who was crossing over him. Vitalins across the center rim. Wraps it for Barbolini just inside the blue. Barbolini's pass got blocked, and then he fanned on the second effort. And his third try was out of the zone, and the Redhawks touch it up off sides. Rough shift there from Matthew Barbolini, and now Miami will bring on their second unit.
Clearly not happy with that first unit right now. But honestly, this second unit I don't think has been any good either. They've really struggled. I think their problem has been getting into the zone more than anything. With that first unit, it's been connecting on passes in the zone. With the second unit, it's been getting in the zone with possession.
Face-off win in the neutral zone for the Redhawks. Spencer Cox with some pressure being applied by Mangini. Hands to Dukovac, who goes backward for Taransky. Taransky takes behind the Miami net with 1:01 to go in the power play. Cox up ahead for Miami. Leaves it back for Dukovac, who pushes to the far side and enters the zone on the left wing. Dukovac all the way into the corner. Wraps it around to the near point. Cox on the backhand holds the zone. Puck rolls along the dasher. Dukovac tried to swat it down and missed, but Helena's there. He goes back for Dukovac in the near corner. Dukovac leaves for Daskis, who skates it now to the far corner. Daskis up top for Cox on the left point. Cox fakes and gives for Dukovac on the left hash. Dukovac back up for Cox on the left point. Over for Taransky now in the right circle. Taransky makes his way to the bottom of the circle in the goal line. Goes back up for Cox with 22 seconds to go in the power play. Taransky from the right side. Down low for Helene, tried to force one in front. It was knocked away by Goetz. Back up top, Cox over for Dukovac. Left circle, drags and shoots, and it goes wide. And off the glass, it's a free breakout for the Bulldogs all the way down the ice. And with 5 seconds to go, Miami may be able to get this in the zone, but will not be able to set up with this power play continuing. Redhawks tip it in to the Duluth end. But Beddens is out of the box, and the Bulldogs are back to full strength. Miami 0 for 3 on the power play and 0 for 5 this weekend. Ryquist grabs it behind the Redhawk net and hands it over for Dempsey after getting crunched. Dempsey up ahead for Barbolini, who races forward. His pass missed Vitalins, who stopped his feet, but Barbolini gets back to the puck in the near corner and gets it up to the right point for Ryquist. Ryquist rips it back down low. McMenamin off the ring to the near side. Couldn't clear the zone, but Dempsey's hold, he shot it right into Dubinsky, and the Bulldogs skated back out to center. Low height will get it in and dump it for UMD. Neaton backhands it behind him. Ryquist missed it. Low height with the takeaway. McMenamin threw it in front. It hit off of the blocker of Logan Neaton and went to the far wall where the Redhawks cleared off the glass and out. Gallatin has it for UMD with 3:42 to go in the second. 2-0 Bulldogs, and we're playing at even strength. Bettens down the left wing side, chips towards the front, tried to swat one on net. It was knocked away. Steve's in the corner now. He hands it off for McMenamin, but a nice steal for Miami by William Helene. And off 2 efforts, he'll get it out of the zone. Waldron down the middle, delayed at the blue line, and that's an offside. And man, it has felt like there have been a lot of those plays at the blue line. The Redhawks have struggled to get it in with this Duluth defense gapping up. They're applying some pressure at the blue line, and that's forced the RedHawks to take some extra steps laterally to each side of the ice, and that's really thrown off their rush.
Yeah, and a much better shift from that second unit on that power play, and they were able to get into the zone with possession. It was literally just Max Tukovac taking it in by himself and then finding options around on the other side. But yeah, you're right, Luke. I think it's been a lot of delays at the blue line, a lot of trying to make extra moves that they don't need to make, and that's forced them to start dumping and chasing just because there's not a ton of communication as to what's going on at the blue line and entering the zone.
Pionk in the near corner of the Duluth zone, passes ahead for Olsen, who directs it up ahead, but there was nobody there for the Bulldogs. Drasner D-to-D for Miami. Feenstra pushes down the ice, and Sullivan tips it into the Duluth end. Pionk, two-hand, chops it to the near side for Olsen. He gets hit by Sullivan. Puck flutters in the air. It's saved with the skate by Drasner, but now taken away 2-on-1 the other way. Pionk skating down the left side, goes over for the shot coming through by Biondi, but he missed it wide. Probably ill-advised to shoot there. He had a lane right to the net, and Pionk elected to pass it. Spicer shovels that one down low. Helene grabs it for Miami, takes out the lob wedge, and that puck will bounce on the center ebb as it's pulled back into the Duluth zone. Bast has it for the Bulldogs. And Miami fortunate to not go down 3-0 right there. 2:23 to go in the second period. And an errant pass forces Bast to back up into his own zone even further. Bast in front of his own net now, feeds Mangini, going across the ice. It hit off the skate there of Pierce, and that allows Daskus to take away, and now a rush the opposite direction for Miami. Taransky forces it across. It got blocked at the line. Clearing attempt is held in by Moulton at the left point. He goes down low for Daskus in the corner. Daskus just got stopped up on the backhand, and now Duluth will take it away. It's Clevin banking off the wall for Mangini. Tried to step inside, but Clement was having none of it for Miami, and the puck is thrown to the near side wall where Smith is on it for Duluth, gets it into the zone, but Miami gets it right back out. Duluth will reverse ice to the far side. Mangini taps it in with a spin, but the RedHawks get there first. It's Moulton on the far corner for Miami with 1:36 remaining, and Moulton will lift this one ahead. Taransky settles it just inside the Duluth blue line, heads to the far side, throws one across into the corner. Clement fires one in, and a left pad save made by Stejskal. McMenamin now with a ton of speed down the right side. He'll backhand this one into the middle for Lowhite. He enters the zone. Pass to the near wing for Loney. He'll turn it around for McMenamin in the near corner of the Miami end. McMenamin hits the brakes, facing the net, tried to twirl it in front, but Taransky was there. He whacks it to the far point where Dubinsky holds the zone. D-to-D for Gallatin. He risks one on, and Daskus got a stick on it that'll direct up into the netting with 1:03 to go in the second period. Stoppage with Duluth up 2-0 and leading in shots 23-14. An offensive zone draw coming here for the Bulldogs.
And Artur Taransky was out there for a long time. He is bent over at the waist, going back to the bench, and you probably would have liked to see him shoot for a rebound on that first time that he entered the zone. There were two Bulldogs in between him and the other guys that were breaking in, and a back checker came in and eventually poked the puck away, but just getting any shots on this big goaltender, trying to force him to move and make him uncomfortable.
1 minute to go in the period. Miami wins the face-off and gets it out to center, but Lowhite with a takeaway off Barbolini. Barbolini pastes him against the far wall, but the RedHawks do take it away. Ryquist D-to-D for Dempsey in front of his own net, nearly lost it with Lowhite pursuing. That forces the RedHawks, though, to just grab it and throw it down the ice, and that's going to be icing with 40.8 seconds to go in the period.
Seen a couple of those turnovers here in the second period. Not as much in the first period, but man, just a errant pass off a skate that bounces right to the middle of the loose stick. It's super dangerous and something that you can't be doing against this team, especially these first two lines. So many different threats.
It's not a lot of pressure either.
Yeah.
It's just kind of being willy-nilly with the puck. They're not being forced into a bad pass. They're just kind of making it with plenty of time and space. RedHawks win the face-off, but they can't clear. Takeaway on the near wall by Bettens. Perkins in the slot, forced to give it back outside. Puck deflects awkwardly out in front of the Miami net, but fortunately, Barbolini was there to snuff that one out and clears to the far point. Held in by the Bulldogs. Steves in the far corner now with 22 to go. Throws one towards the middle. He was looking for Bettens, who was breaking at the net, but he threw it too far in front of him. Gallatin will fire this one in. Steves behind the net with 12 seconds to play in the period. Steves up the near half wall. Drags and shoots this one, tipped by Perkins, and Neaton made that save and holds on with 6 seconds to go. He was hoping to make that save with the blocker. It ended up hitting him in the bottom of the leg pad because of the deflection, but played square to the puck. 6.4 seconds to go in the period here for Duluth, and they will keep that second line out. No reason not to. They might be a little winded, but you're just looking for a face-off play here. See who Miami has take this face-off.
Looks like Ben Steves is ready.
Perkins is taking the draw with Gallatin
I guess that's
lined up behind him to the left. It's William Helene, the second-line center, taking the face-off for Miami.
They try and win it back to Gallatin.
Helene wins the face-off on his weak side to Feenstra, who will jam it up against the near wall. Can't clear it all the way out of the zone, but not enough time to do anything for Duluth. The clock runs out. And that's the end of the second period. Miami settled into that period as they did in period number 2 yesterday against Duluth. The unfortunate thing, they didn't have a 2-goal first to go along with it like they did last night. Miami carries a 2-goal deficit into period number 3 as the RedHawks trail it 2-0 and will need a big offensive effort coming up in the final 20 minutes to try and come away with a split in this series. Jeff, at times in this period, Miami showed a little more life offensively than they did in the first, but just a couple of backbreakers early on in that period, especially that goal from Ben Steves, the second one for Miami. He has been a thorn in the RedHawks' side this weekend, and it carries over into tonight.
Yeah, and I think the most frustrating part of that Steves goal is that there were a couple chances that the RedHawks created in their own offensive zone. Artur Taransky had a really nice pull and drag shot that just, was a great save by Stejskal. But that kind of stuff, those are the opportunities that we've talked about that you really need to convert. Obviously, this Duluth team can score a lot of goals, and they've done that kind of all this season, and they've kept games close against some of the best teams in the nation for a reason. And just the RedHawks just haven't been able to get by their defense this game. Last night we saw it early, and then they kind of settled in and kind of let Duluth dictate play, especially in that second period. But yeah, 2 goals is a little bit of a backbreaker, and you start to worry, at least from up here, and I'm sure in the locker room, about the kind of chances that they're creating. Are they even going to be able to put anything up on the score sheet because Duluth's done such a good job tonight? So third period is going to be really telling.
2 goals in a minute and 17-second span for the Bulldogs in the opening 5 minutes of the period are the difference in this game right now. Duluth out shooting Miami 24-14. 2-0 score, Duluth leading Miami after 2 periods of play. Jeff and I back for the third. Luke Lewis, time for the intermission report. We toss it over right now.
Thanks, boys. Yeah, at the start of the second period here for Miami, we saw a shift in lines here up front as Waldron moved up with Barbolini and Vitalins. A little different look for Chris Bergeron's team, trying to provide a spark up front. However, more of the same in the second that we saw in the first period as Duluth is out shooting Miami 24-14 in the game. Currently stands at 2-0 Duluth over Miami. We saw a goal from Canadians draft pick Blake Bondi in the slot from a beautiful feed from Bruins draft pick Quinn Olson. That started the scoring for UMD just a minute and 17 seconds later. The guy we've been talking about all weekend, Ben Steves, with his 11th goal of the season and 3rd of the weekend. A beautiful shot, top shelf, over the glove of Logan Neaton during a delayed penalty. Now let's talk about the special teams play for both teams in that second period. A lot different from the first. A lot of penalties on both sides for Minnesota Duluth and Miami. It all started with a Duluth power play, but Miami did a good job limiting their chances shortly after the Steves goal and resulted in no goals. Then Miami headed to their power play, their second of the night. Barbolini started that power play with a great chance in front of the net off sort of a broken play. Definitely something Duluth is going to want to clean up on the back end. But a good kill from Duluth. No harm there for them. Then we saw a big tussle in front of the net. This provided a spark for the crowd here at Steve Cady Arena. Probably the first time we saw them on their feet cheering since the beginning of the game. It was a weird play. The puck bounced towards goaltender Logan Neaton. He seemed to struggle to corral it, and the UMD players pounced on him, swarming the net. And the Miami RedHawk defensemen did not like what they were seeing, grabbing hold of anyone in the maroon and gold that they could find. This resulted in taking both players to the box. and a 4-on-4. During that 4-on-4, not much going on either side. However, just as time expired, we saw a P.J. Fletcher breakaway opportunity, the most high-danger opportunity we've seen out of Miami today. However, he could not put it home. Just after that breakaway by P.J. Fletcher, another penalty taken by the UMD Bulldogs, which brought Miami back on the power play for their third chance of the night. Just on that third power play, a good chance off the faceoff. However, Stayskoll handled it with ease. Again, the first unit struggled during that third power play, as they have all night, not being able to generate too many scoring chances. More of the same with the second unit. Miami runs an umbrella power play. You've seen them all weekend not be able to execute during special teams, as we've mentioned before, near the bottom in the NCHC power play percentage. Part of their problem, as I've mentioned before, is they're not getting pucks in the middle of the ice. With that umbrella setup, you have a player in the bumper position between the hash marks, and he hasn't even touched the puck throughout the first 3 power plays. Once you start to involve that player, that really opens up the big shot guys at the top of the point and on the wings. That is something Miami is going to have to look at in the locker room during intermission. I'm sure they have their coaches checking on the power play, as that has been the Achilles heel for the RedHawks all weekend. Good penalty killing for UMD on both sides. We'll see. It's been a chippy game so far. A lot of penalties, very physical, a lot of battles in front of the net. We're going to take a quick break here. When we return, we will check more on scores around the league, talk about what Miami needs to do aside from special teams to execute in the third period. Just down 2 goals. They're definitely in this one. And an NHL update on a player that everyone has been waiting to hear, next on Red Hawk Radio. We're back here on the intermission report on Red Hawk Radio. We got about 5 minutes until the third period here. As the ice freezes over, the Zams are off. Student section thinned out a bit. We'll see if they come back in the next couple minutes, maybe just going out to get some food. We know finals is approaching. Some much needed study time for them. Back to the game. Obviously, Duluth energized and ready to go tonight. More of the same that we saw in the second period for them yesterday. However, Miami doing a nice job in the face-off circle again, winning 27 to Duluth's 18. Like I said, 0 for 3 on the power play. Duluth is 0 for 1. Duluth out shooting Miami 24 to 14. Let's look at stats from around the league tonight in college hockey. Denver and Western Michigan in a tight-knitted matchup over there in Western Michigan. 6-5 Denver with 3 minutes left in the third period. We'll see if Denver can hold them off. In North Dakota, Colorado College holds a 2-1 lead over North Dakota with about 4 minutes left in the second period. We'll see if they could go for the 2-game sweep over there. And St. Cloud State holds a 1-0 lead in Omaha. That's what's going on in the NCHC. Let's check the NHL. Big news out of the Red Wings Senators game. Patrick Kane gets his first goal as a member of the Red Wings. Of course, Patrick Kane, best American-born player of all time in many eyes. Played for the Blackhawks and won 3 Stanley Cups before going to the Rangers last season for a brief stint before joining back with his old Blackhawks teammate Alex DeBrincat on the Red Wings. However, they lose the game. They're losing the game 3-1 in the second. We saw the Bruins win 5-3 earlier. The Knights win 6-1 over the Stars earlier. And the Devils, with Jack Hughes back in the lineup, continuing to keep things going. Obviously, last night we saw a gorgeous goal out of Connor McDavid. He has picked it up substantially after a slow start and is back at the top of the leaderboard in the NHL. Back here at college hockey at Cady Arena, let's look at some keys to the third period. If Miami is going to want to get back in this game, obviously, as I mentioned before on the power play, they're going to have to crisp up their passes. Try to get the bumper guy involved there. Too much perimeter passing for the RedHawks. Miami's also having trouble through the neutral zone, making stretch passes. And their big issue tonight has been breaking the puck out of the defensive zone. We saw that at the end of the second period as time winded down, a crucial turnover that led to a Aaron Pionk 2-on-1 where he elected to pass. Probably should have shot, so no harm there. The refs are back on the ice here at Steve Cady Arena. The lights turned on. We're almost ready for the third period, about 2 minutes out. Should be a good one here. We'll see if Miami can narrow the lead and try to tie this one up. Hopefully force overtime or extra time like they did yesterday. Students start to wander back down into their seats. The music blares. Miami's going to have to come out real sharp to start the third and really set the tone. They can't allow Duluth to build on what they've done in the first 2 periods and extend this lead. That wraps it up for me here for the intermission report. I'll be back on Red Hawk Radio for the postgame. For now, I'm going to send it over to Luke West-Poley and Jeff Middleton in just a few moments. For the third period, they will have the call.
Third period on the way here from Coach Cady Arena. Luke West-Poley, Jeff Middleton with you. Duluth leading Miami 2-0 after 2 periods of play. Bulldogs out shooting the RedHawks 24-14. Duluth moves left to right in the dark uniforms. Miami right to left in the whites here in period number 3. Well, the RedHawks have proven that they can put up goals quickly. It was in the first period that they did that yesterday, Jeff, but it's obviously tough in any conference game to come away with an offensive effort requiring 2 goals in such a short period of time of only 1 period. And I think most notably, Jeff, is that the RedHawks really haven't had that step offensively that they had yesterday, and it's going to be tough to find mid-game here, but they're going to need to do it here in the third.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it. I think yesterday we were both kind of shocked at the speed that the RedHawks had to open up that game, and we just haven't seen it here tonight. So hopefully we're proven wrong, of course, but, you know, finding that mid-game, like you said, is tough to do. But, you know, maybe this third period brings something different.
Miami wins the opening face-off, and the RedHawks move it ahead. Vitalin's down the left wing side, gets his poked off his stick by Spicer, but Vitalin's regathers and feeds Feenstra off the bank on the left point. D for Kumlin on the right side, walks around a defender. Short pass to Feenstra, throws one on. It got tipped by Barbolini, save made by Stayskoll. Barbolini out in front, Vitalin's with a shot, and it got blocked by his own teammate right in the slot in Waldron. RedHawks still applying the pressure here as Waldron's pass out in front hit Vitalin's in the skate, and Duluth clears, but a good opening shift from that top line in the first 30 seconds. Duluth takes it the other way. Olsen spinning back and forth, and now he'll shovel in deep for Spicer. He gets crunched by Kumlin, and the RedHawks take it back. Feenstra tried to give it to Barbolini, but he missed his stick, and it'll be sent to the far side by the Bulldogs. Pionk enters the zone but loses the puck. RedHawks chip it down, but it takes a touch. No icing 56 seconds into this third period. Duluth moving left to right. Perkins missed it at the near blue line, and the RedHawks take control. A pass through the middle from Clement looking for Helene, missed him. It goes down, and this time it will be icing with 18:53 to go in the third period. 2-0 Bulldogs, but strong opening minute from Miami. They've had the majority of the possession and a couple scoring chances. Yeah, you said it, and you know that it's unfortunate that Johnny Waldron was in the way of that shot because, you know, that one was getting on net too, but you're right. I mean, that was the speed that we saw yesterday, and they need to keep playing with that. They just need to keep driving play. It's been kind of like they're back on their heels for these first 2 periods, so, you know, that opening shift should set the tone. It's a good way to start. Waldron tied with a team-high 3 shots on goal on 5 attempts. RedHawks win the defensive zone faceoff. Sullivan will skate it up the right side and out of the zone. Fletcher now getting the feed. He enters the Duluth zone down the middle. Sends it to Helene on the far side, who whacks it back for Fletcher, and now Helene once more in the right corner. Up top for Clement. Wrists one through. It got tipped by Sullivan and goes wide. Sullivan collects it off the end boards and gets pounded into the wall, but it's picked up by Fletcher for the RedHawks, and he'll skate it up to the point. Fletcher got it touched off his stick, but he saves it from going beyond the blue. Helene with a wrister from the point, and it's blocked by Pionk, who is visibly shaken up, not putting any weight on the leg, and Pionk will slowly make his way off as his teammates pick him up, and he is able to clear it out of the zone. Maybe a 2-on-1 developing the other way for Duluth, but they jumped off sides. It was Bettens walking in there along with Perkins, and the two were just not on the same page. Their neutralized draw coming up a minute 51 into the period. Yeah, Perkins just a little bit over anxious there at the blue line. But again, another solid shift by that Miami second line. Just winning those little battles. We talked about it with Coach Bergeron on the presser yesterday after the game, and you know he talked about how much they work on those and how important they are to win in hockey games. And those are the kind of battles that, you know, really helped this Miami team score 2 goals early in the first yesterday. Bast forced into his own zone by Daskus for the RedHawks. He outlets it up ahead. Low height gets bumped in the back and outlets it back to Pierce. Now Bast will fire it in on the slap shot around the wall of the near half. Low height. Back up top for Pierce on the right point. Throws it intentionally wide below the goal line. Daskus with good body position gets there first for Miami. Dempsey, though, fumbled the puck on the far side, and he's unable to clear. Taransky moves behind the RedHawk net with the puck, and it just rolls up the near side where Dukovac played it through the middle. Low height was going to take his head off, and so Dukovac just floated that one out of the zone. Now Daskus skates it down the left wing. He'll chip it in and knock his man over in the reverse hit. Pierce was looking for the hit there, and Daskus sent him to the ice. Meanwhile, some good forecheck here by Dukovac working 1-on-2, and he steals the puck away. Cross-ice pass to Vitalin's, but it missed him in the slot. It was behind him, and he almost got it on the backhand, but he wasn't able to control. Taransky holds and gets it down for Vitalin's in the near corner. Vitalin's with his back turned, gets spun around and loses it with Jack Smith working on him. Now a steal in front. Taransky with a shot. Got blocked off of Vitalin's skate and up into the high glass on the right side. Puck stays in play, though. Kumlin on the right point. Fluttering puck towards the middle. It's whacked away. and shoved to the far side by Dubinsky, moving this one up ahead for the Bulldogs. Mangini gets it out to center. Vitalins gave it away. Clevin works his way into the zone, tried to chip it backside. It's whacked right back to him, and he makes his way into the near corner of the Miami end with it. 16:27 to go, third period, 2-0 Bulldogs. Olsen backhand up to the left point. D-to-D now for Goats. Fired shot in, and a left pad save made by Logan Neaton with a thunk. Barbolini gets it across for Vitalins. He'll skate it across the red, and it's a soft chip into the zone for the Latvian for the RedHawks as he goes for a change. Olsen along the near side. Barbolini forechecking him. Took him 2 tries, but he does get it out of the zone. Cox has it for Miami. D-to-D with Clement. Now Cox has it back down the middle. Hard pass for Barbolini, and he sauces it to nobody inside the Duluth zone. Gallatin will collect for the Bulldogs. Goats up for Olsen on the blue line. Cox knocks him over, and the RedHawks take away. Helene down the left side, over for Waldron. Across, and a shot by Fletcher. He scores! It all started with Spencer Cox in the neutral zone laying a huge hit, and it went Helene to Waldron to Fletcher. He roofs it on the one-timer, and with 15:43 to go in the third, Miami's got their answer. It's 2-1.
Yeah, what a weekend from P.J. Fletcher. 2 goals yesterday and a goal today. Fantastic hit in the neutral zone, like you said, Luke, by Spencer Cox, and fantastic pass from Johnny Waldron all the way across the ice to P.J. Fletcher. Just perfect, right in the wheelhouse. And those are the passes that we've talked about that need to happen more.
Fletcher's third goal of the weekend.
Yeah.
8th of the year for PJ, puts him tied for first on the team now with Matthew Barbolini, and the RedHawks are within 1 with still over 15 minutes to play.
He's put himself in the right spots, too.
Yeah, he has. That far side has been his for the taking this weekend. A slap shot, meanwhile, by Bettens from way up high in the zone goes well wide. Duluth back on the attack here as Perkins gets it down low. Steves works it up to the right point for Pierce. Wrists one through traffic. It got tipped by Steves, but a save made with the glove by Neaton, and now the puck is rolled along the near side. Pierce and Fletcher were tied up away from the puck, and that allows the puck to get back out to neutral ice. Pounded back in by the Bulldogs. Steves has it on the near half wall following the dump. Gets it down for Bettens in the corner. He hands for Steves. 2-on-2 battle, and the RedHawks take it away. Daskus flying up the left side, enters the Duluth zone on the left wing. Daskus had it poked away. Nice defensive play there by Pierce for the Bulldogs, and he will clear the zone out to center for Drasner. Drasner across for Ryquist for Miami, and he'll dump it in. That puck deflects off the dasher and pops up in the air. Dukovac on the left side, dances to the middle, leaves off for Drasner. He shoots, and it goes just wide. And now Duluth can take it the other way, maybe a 2-on-1 developing. It's McMenamin with Lowhite. McMenamin down the left side, sauces one to the middle, and Lowhite crashing into Logan Neaton. Did not touch that puck. The arm is up, and this will be a penalty on the Bulldog captain. He came through. The pass was about waist high from McMenamin, and Lowhite not only swung and missed trying to bat it out of the air, but he took out Logan Neaton in the process. And it will be a 2-minute minor for goalie interference on Luke Lowhite, and the RedHawks will go to their 4th power play today, looking for their first tally to try and tie this game with 14:25 to go in the third, currently trailing 2-1.
And I think Luke Lowhite is a little bit confused because it didn't look like he had much control over himself, possibly shoved into the goalie, but nonetheless made contact with Logan Neaton, preventing him from playing his position, and that's going to do it.
And Neaton was also way out of his net. He was way beyond the blue paint, but the RedHawks will take it. Face-off win. Kumlin throws it out in front. It got blocked by his teammate Barbolini and cleared to the near side. Vitalins setting up from the left hash, back up top for Kumlin. Now Vitalins top of the left circle. Cross for Fletcher, one-timer, and a sliding save by Stayskol. And it's cleared off the glass and out all the way down from Gallatin.
There's that vision from Raymond Vitalins in this near side circle. He's just been so good at finding those seams on the power play.
Some pressure applied by Duluth on the the penalty kill forecheck, I should say, and it worked out as they get a steal and clear it down. And Kumlin in on net, just hands it off to his goalie Logan Neaton, who covers. Just going to say that was a great 30 seconds to start the power play for Miami, and it was a very poor following 10 seconds. As 13:47 remains in the third period, Miami trails 2-1, and they'll take a draw in their own D zone here as the second unit comes out.
Even with this D-zone draw, I would say, Luke, I mean, I'm sure you probably agree that it just looks like they have a different, vibe to them. They have a spring in their step. They're using their legs to get to players with the puck and, playing well off the puck as well.
So Helene taking the draw against Loney for Miami, and Helene wins it to the board side wing, which is vacant for Duluth. Dukovac touches it back to Helene for Miami, and he'll skate it out of the zone. Helene curling back and forth. They'll go backward for Cox, and now across to Dukovac. He skates it into the Duluth zone on the left wing. Banked around to the far wall. Helene tried to backhand shovel one in front. Dukovac handled it in front, but he couldn't pull the trigger on a shot. Taransky grabs the loose puck and skates it to the near corner. He hands on a short pass to Dukovac up top for Cox. Cox over on a one-timer by Helene. He rockets it wide, and it escapes the zone. Cox up for Dukovac. The pass got tipped. It'll go deep into the Bulldog zone. Helene going to have to hustle after it, but a good job by Pierce to get it over to his D partner, Darian Goetz, and he will fire it down the ice. 37 seconds remaining on the man advantage. 13 minutes to play in the game with Miami trailing 2-1. But by far the best chances of any power plays so far that the RedHawks have had. Barbolini down the left wing with the top unit back on. He dumps it in, and Gallatin gets to it below the goal line, but just touches it to nobody, and Fletcher grabs it playing catch with Barbolini. Now Waldron on the near half wall up top for Kumlin. He sets up shop. Kumlin down low for Fletcher in the near corner, up for Waldron. Waldron's pass looking up top for Kumlin, got deflected away. Nice job by Mangini, and this will go all the way down where Kumlin will retrieve and round his net. 1 second to go on the power play, and it expires. Bulldogs are 4 for 4. Waldron makes his way in, drags and shoots. Puck comes back out in front, nearly hit Stejskal in the backside and went in, but it went over his head. Now Moulton risks one from the right point, and that one goes wide. Kumlin still with it for Miami. Gets bumped off the puck by Goetz. It's fluttered up to the far wall, and Steves dances through Fletcher. Steves drags between the legs. Backhander from the near side. It's gloved down by Neaton, but Steves gets the rebound and gets it up for Pionk on the left point. Pionk fires one through. That hit Kumlin in the hand, and it goes wide. Waldron now on the far side, trying to buy some time, and he will back it up to his defense as the forwards go for changes. Frantic sequence there as Moulton's pass goes across the ice and just gets deflected back to Luth's way. Pass comes to Goetz on the near wing, and he'll get it past the center red and clear in. Big hit down low on Quinn Olsen, laid by Dylan Moulton and Jack Clement on the combo effort. RedHawks get it out of the zone and into the Duluth end. Morrison forechecking for Miami along with Messenberg. Puck is poked behind the Duluth net for Pionk. He goes up the far wall for Olsen. Lost it in his skate. Morrison wrists one on, and a glove save made by Stejskal. And he gobbles it up with 11-12 to go in the third period. Miami's got some spring in their step, as Jeff put it. And the RedHawks are certainly looking for that second goal. They've been close over the last couple of minutes. Miami looks to tie the game down 2-1 when we come back with just over 11 minutes to play. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Hockey on Red Hawk Radio. Crowd's back into it, team's back into it here for the RedHawks. Miami trails 2-1 to Duluth with 11-12 to go in the third period. But the goal from P.J. Fletcher is the only goal in the third, and Miami has been on the attack over the last few minutes. Offensive zone faceoff coming up here for the RedHawks coming out of this timeout.
Yeah, Luke, and you mentioned it before the break. That last power play, I think, obviously was the best one that they've had all game because the other ones didn't look very good. But they've also got better chances. I think that, these one-timers from the far circle, some chances from the slot, just opportunities that they weren't getting before. And if they can keep, if they can capitalize on just one of those, this will be an even game. And it already looks like a different ball game with how well Miami's skating right now.
Miami wins another face-off. It's thrown out in front. Dukovac couldn't get a shot away. Gallatin did well to fend that one off. Dukovac will shovel it in behind now for Daskis for Miami. Daskis gets tacked against the wall by Dubinsky, And the puck is pried free where 3 Bulldogs are in hot pursuit, and they will get it out of the zone. McMenamin over for Loney. Laterally across the red, takes a step across and throws it in. Clement now rings it around. That hops over Gallatin's stick and all the way down the ice. Dubinsky hustles after it and beats Daskus by a step. It's icing with 10:41 to go in the third period. 2-1 still the Bulldog lead. Duluth has led the shots tally by about 10 or so pretty much the whole way. It's 27-16 right now, but RedHawks are certainly closer than they were.
At the very least, it feels closer than it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah, this line has been really good. I've liked Daskus with Dukovac and Taransky. Dukovac, especially in this third period, has looked really strong.
Bulldogs win the face-off, but the puck is still loose. Finally, Olsen gets to it, and he'll push it in behind. Olsen gets it right back now and gets it through the middle, but Biondi can't force that one through. Puck is just ping-ponging around, and finally Taransky grabs it and heads to the far side. Taransky across the center red will backhand it in, and Stejskal will cover up with 10:20 to go in the third. And Miami trailing 2-1. So the RedHawks get an offensive zone draw, and it is the top line out for the RedHawks as John Waldron's back up with that top unit, along with Barbolini and Vitalins, as he has been throughout points in this season. PJ Fletcher was good yesterday on that top line, but he was also good today playing with some new guys. Miami playing with 11 forwards today as opposed to 12, as they have throughout a lot of the season. Sometimes they've even had to go down to 10 because of the injuries. RedHawks win the face-off. Ryquist pushes it in behind the Duluth net. Waldron bodying up, gets it up to Dempsey on the left point. Now center point, Vitalins with a wrist shot, hits the Bulldog logo on Stejskal's chest, and he covers. 10:10 to go in the third. Obviously, Miami would like to get a little more traffic on that shot, but they're getting a little bit on net. And point that you drove home, Jeff, was testing Stejskal throughout this game, and they've done a little bit of a better job doing that in the back half.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I think, you know, at the very least, getting shots on net like that and getting more offensive zone faceoffs is going to lead to success. You know, you got to take advantage of these opportunities.
Ryquist from the right point after another Miami faceoff when wrists one in, and it was saved. It sat on the top of the blue paint for a moment before it was lifted out by the Bulldogs and Olsen. RedHawks back in their own end, chip it off the glass. Barbolini had it in his skates, and he'll just push it back out to neutral ice. Gallatin pumps it back in for the Bulldogs. Dempsey below his own goal line, over for Ryquist in the far corner. Ryquist handles, tried to hand it off for Vitalins, but he sauced it over his tape. And the Bulldogs will take it back in their own zone. Gallatin down the left side. Sent over for Bettens, who will chip it in and race after it. Dempsey blasts this one around the near wall. Too far for Barbolini. He reached out for it but missed. It goes down for icing here with 9:25 to go in the third. And Duluth leading 2-1.
And again, that, you know, Chris Bergeron, we've talked about face-offs with him I don't know how many times, but he emphasized their importance, and we're seeing it in this third period. Offensive zone face-off wins are leading to shots on goal, which is leading to chances. And, you know, we saw it just down here with Hampus Rydquist getting a shot on net and the puck just kind of bouncing free, and, you know, no Miami player was there to put a stick on it, but that's going to lead to good results. And, you know, if they keep doing that, some chances are bound to go in.
Miami won another faceoff. RedHawks are now 36 for 56 in the faceoff circle today. They have been all over Duluth. They get it across the red and dump it in to go for changes following that icing. 9:11 remaining in the third period. 2-1 Bulldogs. And Goetz is just holding behind his own net. Goetz over to the far side for Pionk. He whacked that one forward. It went through 2 RedHawks legs, and Moulton will have to chase after it now, but arriving there first at the puck, Perkins plays it in behind. Now Bettens up top for Pionk. Wrists one on, snapped out of the air by Neaton.
Ooh, Clement's not going to like that.
And he holds on, and Clement going after Steves here, who rips Clement's stick out of his hand. And Steves will now skate off.
Yeah, Steves gave Logan Neaton a little late shot there, and you can see Clement was not happy about that immediately after he started to lumber his way over there and gave Steves the business.
And they're going to get penalties on this. Both Steves and Clement. Steves is not happy with the officials.
I'd take that trade any day of the week. I don't know about you, Luke.
Yeah, I think I would as well. It's an unsportsmanlike penalty on Ben Steeves, and it's a roughing penalty on Jack Clement. Clement not only tied up Steeves after he whacked at the RedHawks goalie, but he carried him all the way over the boards, and he hit him pretty loudly into the near wall. So I'm not sure if Steeves, unsportsmanlike could mean a lot of things.
I was going to say, you think it was for
it could have
hacking
been
it
for
neat or taking his stick out of his hands?
Exactly. So after he got hit by Clement, his stick was kind of tied up, and he kind of whirled his body around to rip Clement's stick out of his hand and just kind of threw it out of the zone.
I think my favorite part of that sequence was Jack Clement motioning for Ben Steeves to get over to the box with him.
So we'll skate four aside for the next 2 minutes. Face-off one in the offensive zone for the Bulldogs, but they are without probably their best 4-on-4 skater in Ben Steeves, who's in the box. Bulldogs move the puck quickly. Spicer back for Dubinsky, now across for Gallatin on the left point. Gallatin to the center, wrists one in front. It's blocked away by Kumlin for the RedHawks right in front of his goaltender, and the puck deflects to the far corner. Barbolini chips it behind the RedHawk net, where Feenstra's back to it for the RedHawks. He goes over for Kumlin, and Kumlin will reverse behind his own cage once more. Kumlin up for Feenstra. Feenstra leaves off for Barbolini, takes a couple steps towards the middle of the ice and enters the zone. Feenstra tried to leave it, or Barbolini rather, for Vitalins, but went right between the wickets, and it's taken away by Olsen for the Bulldogs. Up the right side, handles it through Feenstra, but Feenstra caught the body and takes him off the puck. Miami's got it back. Kumlin tried to dangle his way through, but it was kicked away. Spicer has it back, works past Kumlin, but again, can't get the body by him, and he'll be forced to send this one back his way. It's not icing. It goes all the way down the ice, but it was off a Duluth stick. Pionk behind his own net, heads to the near side, and now works down the middle of the ice. Pass to the near wing for Matthew Perkins. Draft choice of the Vancouver Canucks has it deflect into the far corner as he enters the zone. Cox with a hit, and the RedHawks take away. Waldron down the center of the ice, works to the far side, gets it into the zone. It's pounded in by Helene. Ryquist down low. He gets hit and pinned against the wall by Biondi, and the Bulldogs pry it free. Pionk jams it up the wall looking for Perkins, but Cox holds for the RedHawks. Helene sauces an area pass for Ryquist. He's there. Ryquist between the legs on the handle, but it didn't work out for him, and Duluth pokes it over to the corner. Waldron now gets it up for Helene. Helene drags, shoots, it goes wide. Now Waldron will grab it down below the goal line. 10 seconds to go in 4-on-4. Ryquist in front, he scores! Wow, what a find by John Waldron. A couple handles, and he froze the Duluth defense. And Hampus Ryquist from the inside hash, we have seen the cannon that he's got for a snapshot. And he just one-times that one, going high blocker over the right shoulder of Zach Stayskal. 6:58 to go in the third, and Miami has tied the game. Duluth, though, is on their bench. They've got an eye in the sky that can radio down to the coaching staff, and Scott Sandlin has got the stop sign up to the officials right now about whether or not he wants to challenge. It was a close play at the blue line as Waldron came in. We'll see if Duluth tries to challenge this here. And it looks like they will. So Duluth uses their challenge. And once again, in college hockey, just like the pros, you get a coach upstairs that can wear an earpiece and radio contact with your bench. So they've got somebody up there that's watching the replay during that stoppage and decided it was close enough that Duluth wants to use their challenge. 7 seconds remain in the 4-on-4, and nobody gets out of the box because it's even strength. 6:58 to go in the third. If Duluth was to lose this challenge, it's not like the NHL where you get a penalty, you just lose your timeout. Jeff, you got a couple extra looks at it.
Yeah, it's close. I will say, though, I think this is one of the, let me get on a little bit of a soapbox here and say that it's a little frustrating. As much as video review is super helpful, I think this is one of those plays where, Miami had 3 or 4 shots after the zone entry even happened. So, I think obviously, you want to keep the game clean and moving forward, but it's really close. I think that it would depend. Obviously, I think the call on the ice is a goal, so depending on what the referees and linesmen see down there, it's tough to tell on this angle that I'm seeing right now on my laptop.
And they've got everybody in there too, except for Brian Hankey's. Rare to see 3 officials looking at a call all at once. Both linesmen and Justin Hills, the referee. Now he'll give us our call. And it's waved off.
That's unfortunate, man. Wow.
So Waldron gave a little shimmy at the blue line, and that was enough by just a frame or two to knock the play offside. They're going to have to reset this clock. They already put the time back on, but the penalties haven't reset. So they should go look at this and put time back on the clock for each of the penalties. But, man, that is a backbreaker for Miami. You thought they had just tied the game up.
That's killer. And again, you know, video review, you need to have it. You should have it. But man, if they kept the puck in the zone probably 2 or 3 separate times and shot the puck on net 4 times before that goal. It's just that's really frustrating.
Officials just announced the microphone wasn't working, but they're reviewing for time on the clock, which is what we could hear from up here. And so it looked like the timer was reset. So I believe the game clock is correct. They just have to get the penalties back to what they were, because the game clock is back up to 6:58. So the goal is waved off. It's an offside. We'll have 4-on-4 for probably a lot of time, Jeff, given how long Miami had that puck in the zone. Probably going to add maybe 30 seconds onto this at least.
Yeah, and again, that's just killer. But on the good side of things, you know you can do it, and you know that they're moving the puck well enough to score on this goalie.
This tends to go one of 2 ways. It can either fire your team up or it can kind of fold them over, so we'll have to see.
We also, I mean, and Coach Bergeron, we've talked about this with him before, about how, you know, this season, and even some of the players, how this season they've talked about how the leadership group has really been good at kind of pushing them forward in times like this, instead of, you know, kind of this would, in seasons prior, it would 38 seconds
38
left.
seconds, so they add 31 seconds to each of the penalties.
But continuing that thought, just, you know, talked about how the leadership group really pushed them forward, and you know, instead of kind of having this be a backbreaker situation, they've been really good at kind of forcing their way in. And so far this period, this is the best period of hockey that they've played since the first period of yesterday. I firmly believe that, and you know, that if they can keep this going, and what they've said about their locker room culture is true, and you know, get this leadership group to, you know, show that they can score on this goalie and get a tying goal again. This is going to be a big last 7.5 minutes, but particularly the last 38 seconds of this 4-on-4.
Yeah, Chris Bergeron has said in pretty much every post-game press conference of every game this season that the vibe on their bench has been good. Whether wins, losses, whatever it may be.
I also think having a guy like Ryan Sullivan back for this moment is a big thing. We talked about.
He's out there right now.
Yeah, he's out there to take the draw. I asked Coach Bergeron last night about what it just meant to have him back, and he went on for probably 40, 45 seconds about how just awesome Ryan Sullivan is to have back on the bench, and how important he is just to the vibe of the locker room, and you know, keeping the younger guys focused and pushing them forward in times like this. And I think that's a really big key, and it's good to see him out there.
Very experienced player, won a national title with the UMass Minutemen a few years ago before transferring into this Red Hawk program. Duluth wins the neutral zone faceoff and skates it into the Miami end. It's Gallatin who puts it down low for the Bulldogs. Poked back up to the right point for Dubinsky. Tried to push it over for low height. The RedHawks pick it off. It's Sullivan. Left it for nobody, and now Loney goes the other way. One-on-one with Drasner. Loney pulls, spins, and heads to the far side. He's got 3 RedHawks around him, and Fletcher will take it away for Miami. Fletcher moseying to the near side. 7 seconds to go on the 4-on-4, and he will toss this one in behind the Duluth net. 2 players there for each team as the penalties expire, and Steves and Clement are out of the box. We're back to 5-on-5. Loney spins it around to the near side. Dubinsky with plenty of time. Each team's got to reset their lines, and everybody is off for Miami. Dubinsky, rather, gone after by Taransky. Gets it up the far side, and the RedHawks take it away in the neutral zone. Dukovac down the right side, muscles his way through, tried to feed one in front, but it was whacked away by Biondi. Now Biondi's got it in the corner. Stolen away once more by the RedHawks, but Daskis' attempt at it was short-lived. Duluth will take it and clear, as Feenstra will get it back in his own zone with 6:13 to play. 2-1 Bulldogs after the Miami tying goal waved off due to offside. And the Bulldogs out shooting Miami 29-19. RedHawks get it into the zone on the right wing. Taransky gets it off the end boards. Dukovac touches it along. Pionk slaps it over to the far side where Kumlin half pinches and throws it down low. Daskis had the puck hop at his stick behind the net. He gets to it in the corner and tried to reverse it, but it's taken away by Olsen, and he throws it around to the near side for Pionk. He got it out near the blue. It was held in briefly by Kumlin, but deflected back out to the neutral zone as both teams go for changes and the RedHawks reset. 5:37 to go, third period, 2-1 Bulldogs. Waldron down the right side. He got tugged down, but nearly got the puck back. Now it's taken up the ice by Perkins, but he lost control of it. The RedHawks will give it back to the Bulldogs here as Goat skates it down the right side, gets to the center red and fires it in. Sticked over to the glass by Neaton as that puck rolled on net. Feenstra back behind the Miami net with it. Backhands over for Waldron on the far half wall. Waldron down the middle for the swinging Vitalins. Tried to chip it off the wall, but Pierce got in the way and picked it off. And Duluth tried to go the other way. Moulton stepping in the way of that pass, though, between Perkins and Bettens. RedHawks backed it into their own end and tried to get it out for Barbolini, but he couldn't evade his own zone. Back below his own goal line, Moulton skates it up the left side. Pass dangerously flutters through the middle. Ryquist gets to it, though, and feeds looking for Barbolini, but now a break the other way. RedHawks caught in a change. Mangini down the right side trying to drive to the net. Throws it across. He got hammered by Cox, and it went wide. RedHawks go the other way. Barbolini down the center M. He'll chip it into the Duluth zone, and the RedHawks will race it down. Pierce couldn't get it by Barbolini. It comes out in front, but Dubinsky is there for the Bulldogs, and they will settle it down inside their own zone with 4:24 to go in the game. 2-1 Bulldogs out shooting Miami 30-19. Pass up ahead is tipped by Mangini into the RedHawks zone, no icing. Logan Neaton out of the net, flings it up the near side. Helene settles it off the dasher, gets across the center red and throws it in. No, did not get across the center red. It's icing on the cross corner shot in from Helene. Officials are going to discuss this here. It looked like it may or may not have hit a Duluth stick, but they will uphold the call after discussion. It is still icing with 4:07 to go in the third, and Miami will have to back it up to their D zone.
Another big hit by Spencer Cox down there on the net. It's a great play to force Mangini out wide and, get the puck moving the other way. Looked like he started to really settle in now after being out last night.
Helene wins it back to the corner for Cox. He gets crunched, but Helene's there in support. Throws it through the middle. Lowhite gloved it down, and Clement knocked him to the ice. Now a pass up ahead for Fletcher. He's got to break down the left side. Fletcher tried to leave it off, but it was intercepted. Now two Bulldogs collide, and the RedHawks keep it in the zone. No, the Miami bench erupts as it's called offside on the far wing. That was a very close play at the blue line. RedHawks might have had a break the other way. The whole Miami bench rose to their feet to protest, but with 3:49 to go, we reach a stoppage and immediate timeout. We'll step aside one final time here in regulation. Miami looking for that equalizer. Already denied once. They're going to need it a second time here from Cady Arena. We're back after this on Red Hawk Radio.
This is the hour, the darkest place. Dante's Inferno, the devil's maze. It's a good world, good world going bad.
3:49 to go in the third period. Luke West, Poley, and Jeff Middleton with you. Miami trails Duluth 2-1. Tough one for the RedHawks. A few minutes before that break, as Miami had a goal waved off for offside that would have tied the game at 2, but the RedHawks are going to need another one here late to try and even up this game and send it to overtime for a second straight night. Duluth wins the neutral zone face-off. Gallatin on the far side, up ahead for Olsen. He tips it into the Miami end. Neaton sidesteps out of his net and banks it off the end wall to the near side. Shot comes in from the right point from Dubinsky. That goes wide. Gallatin with a second one from the left point, and that's knocked away with Neaton's stick up into the protective netting. And we get a stoppage with 3:31 to go in the third. 2-1 Bulldogs, 31-19, the shots advantage for UMD, and Miami will make some line changes here and bring out the Taransky, Dukovac, Daskis line that's been pretty successful, especially on the forecheck tonight.
Yeah, I was definitely going to say that, they need to get their feet moving here. This last little shift wasn't good enough, and they've created most of their success because they've been really pressuring the Duluth players, and this line's been doing a really good job of that throughout this game. So let's see what they can do here.
Spicer against Daskis on the draw, and Spicer wins it to Biondi, who got a stick lifted but gets the puck and gets it over to Olsen. It hopped up on him, but he gloves it down and gives back for Dubinsky. Dubinsky fires it in down low. Biondi in the near corner with his back turned to the middle of the ice. He gets hit and will give it up. The RedHawks have it below their own goal line, and Daskis spins it around to the far side. Puck is going all the way down the ice, and icing is waved off as Gallatin arrives there right as it hits the goal line. Dubinsky floats it back out to center. Ryquist on it for Miami, D-to-D with Cox. Spencer Cox, the LIU transfer, across the center red, fires in. Daskis and Gallatin arrive at the same time. Gallatin takes the puck away from Daskis and rings it to the near wall. Cox hits it down with the hand after a deflection by Loney at the blue, but Loney grabs it over for Gallatin and he fires it. RedHawks get it up the near wall, but goes all the way back out to Duluth's defense, and Darian Goetz will push it ahead. Takeaway by Dukovac in the neutral zone over for Waldron. Now across for Vitalin's just inside the blue with 2:28 to go. He wraps it around to the near side half wall in the Duluth zone. Dukovac pushes it back in deep. Vitalin's gets there but loses his footing for Miami, and that allows the Bulldogs to clear. It's picked up by Bast, and he'll chip it out to center. Barbolini banks it off the near wall for Cox in Miami's own zone. 2:09 remaining. We'll keep an eye on Logan Neaton. Chris Bergeron's been known to be pretty aggressive. He's waving for Neaton, and off he goes as the RedHawks dump it in. Goetz in the near corner. Chips it up. Biondi eyeing up the empty net, throws it that way, but Fletcher gloves it down for Miami. Minute 55 to go, and the RedHawks up 6-on-5, trailing 2-1. Vitalin's deflects it, barely hits off the top of the glass, almost went out of play. In deep in the Duluth zone, comes up to the right point, and Kumlin can't hold as he fails to seal the wall, and will race it back to get this one as Olsen applies some light pressure and now backs off. 1:37 to go third period, Miami down by a goal. Kumlin skates it up down the middle and leaves for John Waldron just inside his own blue. Waldron banks it off the far wall, and Barbolini will dump it in behind the Duluth net. It banks out in front, and Staceco will be forced to hold. And Miami gets an offensive zone faceoff here with 1:26 to go. And Chris Bergeron is eyeing up Brian Hankey's the referee. We're waiting. Are we going to get the signal? He duped me out yesterday, so I'm checking to see.
Yep, there we go.
There he is. The officials didn't even make an effort to drop the puck. They could have gone through that whole line change procedure in time and just dropped the puck, but everybody on the ice knew Miami was calling timeout there, and so there is the timeout called by Chris Bergeron, and the RedHawks will chat about it here down a goal with 1:26 to go in the third period. They'll have 6-on-5 with Logan Neaton on the bench and making no move to go back into his net with an offensive zone faceoff. The faceoff will come on the right wing side for Miami.
Like you'd be
Who do you put on the
guys.
ice here is my biggest question.
I don't know. That's a good question. I think, you'd be hard-pressed. You're not going to take off Fletcher or Waldron, I would probably assume. Vitalin's just for that puck-moving ability. I honestly wouldn't mind seeing Taransky out there, but the likelihood that they take off Barbolini seems low.
Yeah, because you're probably going to see Kumlin, Cox, and that top line of Vitalin's, Barbolini, and Waldron, but then who is your extra skater? Are you looking at Artur Taransky, Max Dukovac, William Helene, Thomas Daskis potentially? We'll see. Barry Schuette's drawing up a play right now on the Miami bench.
It's like Taransky's staying on the bench.
The extra skater
Ryan
is
Sullivan.
Ryan Sullivan. Interesting. So Miami going with a power look, trying to get something out in front potentially for.
I'd say at the very least, Ryan Sullivan's going to go to the front of the net.
Yeah, to try and get something out there.
Only going one defenseman, too. They got Kumlin out there.
Yeah, it's just Kumlin. So Spencer Cox isn't on the ice. And it's Vitalins, Barbolini, Sullivan, Fletcher, Kumlin, Waldron for Miami. Spicer on the draw for UMD, and he wins it. Into the corner. Gallatin, though, had it stolen away, and Fletcher goes up top for Kumlin. It hops his stick, and it goes all the way down. And the RedHawks will have to set this up from their own end. Unfortunate there for Axel Kumlin. Maybe some bad ice, and it just skipped up on him. Kumlin hands it back for Waldron, who will head down the near side. Pass is tipped. Barbolini looking for it, and he'll track it down and get it into the Duluth zone. Barbolini slams the brakes, gets it up top for Fletcher with a minute to play. Cross for Kumlin, space for him, gets it across, it's deflected. Center point Fletcher, down for Waldron, his shot gets tipped. Sullivan trying to settle it in front, gets it back for Fletcher on the right point. Fletcher up for Kumlin, center point, towing the line, keeps it in along the blue. Fletcher drags, gets it in front for Sullivan, he kicks it, nobody's there. Waldron trying to force it in front, and it's tipped right back to him. Kumlin at the center point, down low for Fletcher, tried to throw it in front, it was blocked away, and a sprawling effort. It's cleared out by Cole Spicer with 30 seconds to play. RedHawks need to get this up the ice quickly. Waldron skating across, and he will give it in for Kumlin, who shovels this one in with 21 seconds to go. Gallatin on it. No one is forechecking for Miami. It's outletted to McMenamin, and it's a 2-on-1 the other way. Low height in the clear, and he scores on the empty net. There were about 20 seconds of that empty net that looked good for Miami. The rest of that minute was disastrous for the RedHawks. And the fans will hit the exits as Duluth is going to take the regulation win on night 2 of this series. The empty netter puts them up 3-1 with 11.7 to play.
That was a nightmare shift for Axel Kumlin. Just a couple of times he didn't keep the puck in the zone. When on that first time, who saved that play was Ryan Sullivan, and he poked it back to Kumlin, and Kumlin couldn't seal the wall again. Just a frustrating shift, and then he dumps it in, and nobody goes to forecheck. And dumping and chasing with an empty net is something that I am vocally against. I understand it from certain points of view, but it's just, you got to have guys that go chase if you're going to do it.
Nobody forecheck there for Miami, and Duluth just acted like a breakout in practice. They just got it up the ice and got it all the way down. RedHawks won the faceoff and just bled the rest of the time off in their own zone. Clock hits zeros. And Minnesota Duluth comes on the road and comes out 1-0-1 with 5 of the possible 6 points in the NCHC standings with a shootout and regulation win over Miami for the Bulldogs here on the road. Good get-right weekend for Scott Sandlin's team, who's now been pretty hot over the past couple of weekends as the Bulldogs look to continue their charge as they were a perennial home ice defender in the NCHC tournament. They will be on the outside looking in to try and host in the tournament headed into the back half of the year, but they will try to get there with a good effort come January and February. For Miami, the struggles continue. They get 1 point this weekend, so no longer a goose egg in the points tally for them this season, but they're close. They're just not there yet, and Miami with a tying goal wiped off the board today for offside, and RedHawks had their chances, had a couple with the empty net, but Miami unable to cash in, and Duluth takes a close one here on Saturday night by a 3-1 score.
Yeah, Luke, I mean, I'm sure it's frustrating for them. It's frustrating from up here just because, you watch these guys, they battle really hard in this third period to make a comeback, and then offside goal gets, an offside gets a goal taken off the board, and, they make there's a tangible difference in their play, and they just aren't able to come back, and some unforced errors cause problems, and that's kind of been the story for them this year. It's just been passes in the skates that kick out to the middle of the ice and they result in a goal against, or you're not able to get into the zone with the puck and you turn it over, and there's just not a lot created over 2 periods. But you can't expect to win games if you're trying to score from behind in the third period. You're down multiple goals.
Miami came out with a pretty good effort in that third, but like you said, it's a losing recipe to do what they did and try to come back in a game. In this league, teams are too good. That's just not a way to win a whole ton of games, and RedHawks have learned that the hard way through the opening 4 NCHC series of the year. Things never get any easier in this league, as the RedHawks' next conference series will be here at home against a Western Michigan team that absolutely blasted the Denver Pioneers last night. That won't be for another month, though, as the RedHawks will take on Western Michigan on January the 12th and 13th here from Cady Arena. 7:05 starts both nights, and we'll have those games here on Red Hawk Radio. Those are our next hockey streams coming up for you on January the 12th and the 13th. Miami will be back in action one final time in the calendar year. That will be following the Christmas break, as the RedHawks will hit the road to take on the Niagara Purple Eagles from Buffalo on December 29th and 30th. 7 o'clock start on the 29th and 5 o'clock start on the 30th from Niagara, as the RedHawks will have their next Atlantic hockey opponent, I should say, on the schedule. The RedHawks are 3-1 against opponents from that conference this season, and will try to get some final tune-ups in what is the last non-conference series of the season for Miami, coming up on the road against Niagara over New Year's. We will be off the air for a little bit, off the grid for a little bit, with none of the Miami sports teams in action at home during finals week. Our next stream that we have on the schedule will come your way on December the 22nd, a couple of days before Christmas, as the Miami men's basketball team, they'll have a couple games before they wrap up their road trip. They will take on Vermont that Friday. It's a 1 o'clock start from Millett Hall. We'll have that game here for you on Red Hawk Radio. We're working on maybe getting that Wright State game a few nights earlier here on the radio, but we are TBD as of right now for that stream. We will for sure see you for the next time on the 22nd. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, everybody. It feels a few weeks premature, but we're going to be pretty much off until that season, so wherever you may be, we wish you happy holidays, and thanks so much for tuning in here tonight. For Jeff Middleton, rest of our great crew, I'm Luke West Poley, so long from Cady Arena, where our final score is UMD 3 and Miami 1. Luke Lewis taking over things for our post-game show coming up next.
All right, well, Luke Lewis back here on the post-game report. A hard-fought third period for the RedHawks. However, they fell just short, losing the game 3-1 to the Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs, capped off by an empty net goal by the captain, Luke Lowhite. Let's get into the third period a bit, as we saw PJ Fletcher bump down to the second line in the third period. He showed the coach that he wasn't backing down with some hard forecheck and big physical hits at the start of that period, and he was rewarded, scoring the Miami first goal of the game just minutes into the third period. Assist came from Waldron and Aline on that one. It was a one-time goal. Fletcher's 8th of the year and 3rd of the weekend. Great weekend, for PJ Fletcher for the Miami RedHawks. Now, let's look on the Duluth side of things. Ben Steeves held quiet in the third. An excellent job by the RedHawks. They got under his skin a bit. His tempers flared. He took a penalty that resulted in 4-on-4 for goalie interference. We saw him out of whack a little bit in the third. That was a positive that Miami did in this game. Miami also saw another power play in the third period. However, couldn't capitalize. Let's analyze that power play for a minute. PJ Fletcher, another good opportunity on the power play, looking for a second of the game from a good pass from Vitalins. Couldn't come home. And then as the second power play unit came on the ice, Max Dukovac had a very good forecheck, stripped the puck, and had a high danger scoring opportunity. However, a couple good sticks by Minnesota Duluth steadied that forecheck and pressure by Miami. There was a near goal as well right after the power play for Miami. However, couldn't be done. Now, this is when things really took a turn in the game. A tying goal by Hampus Reichwist from a great pass from John Waldron. They reviewed it in the box, and Minnesota Duluth eventually challenged the call. They waved it off sides, and Minnesota Duluth held the 2-1 lead. That was a crucial moment in this game. You never know. If Miami scores there and ties the game, could have very well had a different outcome tonight. 4 promising efforts for the RedHawks in their last 4 games, however, only resulting in 1 win. A lot to build off for the RedHawks squad and Chris Bergeron's team, but just falling short as of recently. Looking ahead for the RedHawks, as Luke Westpoley mentioned, they head to Niagara on December 29th and 30th for a 2-game set by the great Niagara Falls area. But first, they head to a Christmas break as school comes to a close here in Oxford, finals week approaching. That'll do it for us here at Steve Cady Arena on the post-game show. We wish you a happy holidays wherever you are tuning in. Thanks for joining us for this edition of Red Hawk Radio and for this weekend between Miami RedHawks and Minnesota Duluth Bulldogs. I'm Luke Lewis signing off. Red Hawk Radio. Have a happy holidays, everyone.